pension tayo. Walang ghost project. Walang ghost project. Walang ghost project. Sinasoli ba yun sa brasar? Oo, sir. Oo, sir. PDP, sir.
Morning, everyone. Namaga po sa lahat. May I request everyone to settle down so we can already proceed. So this budget briefing is called to order. And before we continue, let me acknowledge the presence of Senator Kiko Pangilinan. And let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. For the briefing on the FY 2026 proposed budget of the following: Department of Budget and Management or DBM and attached agency, allocation to local government units excluding the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA, lump sum funds, and budgetary support to government corporations, others, would like to acknowledge our resource persons from the Department of Budget and Management or DBM. We have the Secretary Amena F. Pangandaman, together with Undersecretary Janet Abuel, Undersecretary Rolando Toledo, Undersecretary Wilford Will L. Wong, Assistant Secretary Ramon Vicente B. Asuncion, Assistant Secretary Mary Ann de la Vega, Assistant Secretary Leonido J. Pulido III, Deputy Director General Maria Josen Claire M. Beltran Carandang, the Deputy Director General of the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office, and Deputy Executive Director Romel D. Rivera of the Procurement Service. From the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG, we have Assistant Director Rene Valera, Office of the Project Development Services Assistant Director and Localization of EO70 Project Management Office Head. From the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC, we have the Executive Director Yusek Ernesto Torres Jr. and Deputy Executive Director Monico S. Batle. Mr. Chair, although the budget of the MMDA is not scheduled for today, their presence has been requested to provide the subcommittee with an overall picture of the budget for ALGOS. We are joined by the Chairman, Attorney Romando S. Ortez, together with Assistant Secretary Maria Carolina M. Salgado and Engineer Baltazar N. Melgar. Lastly, we have also requested the presence of representatives from COA assigned to the DBM. We have Ms. Helmarie Adaza, Ms. Monica Villamin, Ms. Carla Aquino, and Mr. Nicole Trinidad. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Committee Secretary. With the indulgence of our colleagues, we will proceed with the presentations. We'll start off with a presentation from DBM, and then all those who want to present can also do their presentations, and then after that, we can open the floor for questions. So we recognize Secretary Pangandaman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd just like to ask, do you still want me to present vision, mission, mandate, or we can go straight to the budget itself?
We can go straight to the budget itself.
Okay, thank you po. So with that, Mr. Chair, let me ask my Assistant Secretary, Mr. Attorney Ramon Asuncion of the DBM Internal Management Group, who will discuss the fiscal year, who will discuss the budget of the Department of Budget and Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Sec. Mina. With permission of the Chair, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Senate Committee on Finance, fellow public servants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is our privilege to present to you the proposed budget of the DBM for fiscal year 2026. At the onset, the DBM's budget was formulated and anchored on the DBM's overall continuing strategic direction and commitment to implement fiscal discipline, effective resource allocation, and efficient government operations. Proceeding to our financial performance, on the status of fund utilization for DBM OSEC, as of December 31, 2024, around 2.419 billion was incurred as obligations out of total allotments of 2.721 billion. Of the total obligations incurred, 2.023 billion was disbursed. This corresponds to an obligation rate of 88.92% and disbursement rate of 83.64%. For the GPP BTSO, as of December 31, 2024, around 123.6 million was incurred as obligations out of the total allotments of 140.5 million. Out of the total obligation incurred, 102 million was disbursed, which translates to an obligation rate of 87.99% and disbursement rate of 82.57%. Overall financial performance as of end December 2024 resulted to an obligation rate of 88.87% and disbursement rate of 83.58%. Now allow me to proceed with our FY 2025 first semester accomplishments. As of June 30, 2025, the DBM OSEC recorded an obligation rate of 43.45% and disbursement rate of 74.61%. Accordingly, 1.109 billion has been disbursed out of total obligations amounting to 1.486 billion. Meanwhile, for the GPP BTSO, our attached agency recorded an obligation rate of 35.94% and a disbursement rate of 99.75% as of June 30, 2025. This brings our overall fund utilization for the first semester at an obligation rate of 43.15% and disbursement rate of 75.45%. Now proceeding to the FY 2026 proposed budget, the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget of the DBM is 3.569 billion pesos. This is 11.82% higher than the FY 2025 budget and covers the operating requirements of the Office of the Secretary and the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office. As to its budget dimensions, of the DBM proposed budget, 94.75% or 3.282 billion is allocated to OSEC to fund the regular programs of the central office and regional offices, including the implementation of locally funded projects worth 622.65 million pesos. On the other hand, the remaining 5.25% or 181.75 million will cover the programs of the GPP BTSO. By allotment class, the total proposal for the regular programs of DBM OSEC is 2.659 billion. Of this amount, 1.968 billion will cover programs of the central office, while the remaining 691.96 million will be provided to the regional offices. Meanwhile, the GPP BTSO's proposed budget, amounting to 181.75 million, is broken down as follows: 49.95 million for personal services, 79.5 million for MOOE, and 52.3 million for capital outlays. Of the DBM's FY 2026 budget proposal of 3.569 billion, the amount of 1.4 billion or 39.24% has been allotted for personal services. For maintenance and other operating expenses, 1.968 billion is proposed, which represents 55.16% of the total proposal of the department. This will fund the regular operating expenses of the DBM and cover the requirements for locally funded projects. For capital outlays, we have incorporated in our proposal the amount of 199.55 million or 5.59% of the total budget. This amount will be used for rehabilitation of buildings and land improvement of regional offices, furniture and fixtures, ICT equipment, and transportation equipment, among others. Moving on to our agency performance measures, physical performance of the DBM OSEC shows that the department has consistently exceeded its performance targets for fiscal year 2024 and the first half of FY 2025. Overall, these results highlight the department's continued commitment to efficiency, fiscal discipline, and excellence in public financial management. In furtherance of our strategic direction, the DBM shall continue to push for its major projects and initiatives. The government continues to push for the digitalization and automation of public financial management processes. This was strengthened through the Integrated Financial Management Information System with the Budget and Treasury Management System, or BTMS, at its core. Second, the DBM institutionalized Program Convergence Budgeting, or PCB. This ensures that government resources are focused on key programs and projects, with agencies working together toward the same goals. To support this, the DBM and the DepDev issued Joint Memorandum Circular 2025-1 last March 2025. Third, we launched Project Marisa, which uses blockchain technology in our Action Document Releasing System, or ADRS. With the DBM immutable and verifiable document software, we now use tokenization, QR codes, and instant verification to make documents more secure. Currently, this is being piloted for SAROS, NCAs, and ANCAs. Finally, there is Project TINA, or Technical Innovations for the NEP application. This improves our budget preparation system by making report generation faster, formatting easier, and details more complete, overall making our NEP processes more efficient and streamlined. As part of our digital transformation efforts, the DBM has relaunched Project DIME. This innovative platform uses satellites and geotagging to monitor the status of major government projects on the ground. Alongside this, the DBM has been relentless in pushing initiatives that advance transparency, accountability, and citizen engagement. With the institutionalization of the Philippine Open Government Partnership, the Philippines has solidified its position as a regional leader in budget transparency, achieving the highest ranking in Southeast Asia in the 2025 Open Budget Survey. We also continue to build capacities at the local level. Through the Public Financial Management Competency Program for LGUs, we provide training on core areas such as budget preparation, execution, accountability, procurement, and internal controls. This equips local financial managers with the skills needed to manage their resources more effectively, particularly their shares of the national tax allotment. Finally, we are rolling out the internal audit for LGUs. This serves as a step-by-step guide to establish and strengthen internal audit units and improve governance. Building on these reforms, the DBM is also leading efforts to modernize procurement and strengthen anti-corruption systems. With the passage of the new Government Procurement Act, the GPPB is now spearheading the nationwide rollout of the NGPA Caravan to guide agencies as they transition in implementing the new law. Another initiative is the e-marketplace of the PSDBM, which works much like an e-commerce platform wherein procuring entities can simply add to cart to purchase common use supplies and equipment. Beyond procurement, the DBM remains steadfast in advancing legislative measures to optimize bureaucratic structures. The Government Optimization Program aims to streamline national agencies through regularization, mergers, restructuring, abolition, or transfer, creating a more efficient bureaucracy. Together with the DepDev and DILG, the DBM also conducted studies on the full devolution of functions and services to LGUs, taking into account their absorptive capacities. Finally, since its establishment in 2006, the Government Quality Management Program has made great strides in promoting efficiency and customer-driven governance. This program recognizes agencies that align with international standards and deliver high-quality public service. That said, we humbly ask the good Senate to support the DBM's strategic direction and to approve its proposed agency budget. At this point, allow me to turn over the floor to Assistant Secretary Mary Ann de la Vega for presentation of the Special Purpose Funds and Unprogrammed Appropriation for FY 2026.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the same members of the committee, as well as the Senate. Please allow me to present the proposed budget of the 7 SPFs, or the Special Purpose Funds, included in the 2026 SNEP, along with the programmed amounts for fiscal years 2024 and 2025, namely, the ALGU, or the allocation to local government units, with proposed appropriation of 65.73 billion, which is composed of the following: the MMDA in the amount of 5.88 billion, which will be presented separately by the head of MMDA. The special shares of LGUs in the proceeds of national taxes in the amount of 31.73 billion, and the LGSF in the amount of 16.08 billion, as well as the special shares of LGUs in the proceeds of fire code fees in the amount of 1.41 billion. We are also presenting the Barangay Officials Death Benefits Fund in the amount of 50 million, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao amounting to 10.59 billion. Along with these SPFs will also be the proceed with the
Yeah, go ahead.
presentation. We'll just catch up with the
Sige.
PowerPoint. Next, please. Next slide, please. We will also be presenting, thank you. We will also be presenting the BSGC, or the Budgetary Support to Government Corporations, with proposed amount of 149.65 billion, the Contingent Fund with 13.0 billion, the MPBF, or the Miscellaneous Personnel Benefits Fund, at 111.52 billion, the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund, 31 billion, and the Pension and Gratuity Fund, 197.99 billion. We will also be presenting the provision for a revised AFP modernization program at 40 billion. This brings the total recommended budget for SPFs to 608.89 billion, which is equivalent to 8.97% of the 6.79 trillion total expenditure program for 2026. This recommended amount will be higher by 15.6%, or 81.95 billion, compared to the 2025 level, which is 526.94 billion. Except for ALGU, BSGC, and as well as the revised AFP modernization program, please note that the details and specific agency recipient of SPFs become available only during budget execution, subject to certain conditions and approvals. The next slides, we will be highlighting the increase and decrease of the proposed programs for various SPFs. At this juncture, please allow me, Mr. Chair, to respectfully turn over the presentation to you, Sequel Ford Wong, for the allocation for the ALGUs.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Sherwin and Senator Kiko. Presented on the screen is the proposed amount for allocation to local government units, or ALGU, net of MMDA, and the program amount for fiscal years 2024 and 2025. For FYs 2024 and 2025, 63.8 billion and 67.81 billion were appropriated respectively for ALGU. For 2026, fiscal year 2026, the proposed total allocation of ALGU is reduced to 59.85 billion, reflecting a decrease of 7.96 billion, or 11.7% overall decline. The proposed 59.85 billion under ALGU is composed of the following: Local Government Support Fund, 16.08 billion, which includes financial assistance to LGUs in the amount of 5 billion. support to the Barangay Development Program or SBDP or of the NTF-LCAC in the amount of 8.08 billion, Growth Equity Fund in the amount of 1 billion, the Green Program in the amount of 1 billion, and the Support and Assistance Fund to Participatory Budgeting in the amount of 1 billion. The Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao amounting to 10.59 billion, which includes the following: Special Development Fund in the amount of 5 billion, and BARM share in the taxes, fees, and charges collected in the BARM in the amount of 5.59 billion as certified by the BIR. The Special Development Fund is pursuant to Section 2, Article 14 of RA 11054. The national government shall provide a special development fund intended for rebuilding, rehabilitation, and development of conflict-affected communities. The amount equivalent to 50 billion or 5 billion per year for a period of 10 years from the ratification of RA 11054 shall be allocated for the above-mentioned purpose. For fiscal year 2026, we are on our 7th year in the inclusion of this provision. Shares in taxes, fees, and charges collected in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region decreased by 399.79 million or 6.7% compared to the fiscal year 2025 program. It is to be noted that the subject share for fiscal year 2026 is based on the estimated collections by the BIR, which is considered the monthly total collection goal, and certification submitted by pertinent BIR revenue district offices. The proposed special share in proceeds of national taxes or SSP-NT for 2026 is 31.73 billion. This includes the shares in excise taxes from tobacco, shares in the utilization of development and national wealth, shares in gross income tax in the Cagayan Special Economic Zones, and in incremental collections from VAT. The proposed amounts for the subject shares are based on collections and certifications submitted by the collecting agencies concerned. The decrease of 930 million or 2.8% was mainly due to the downward trajectory of the shares in national wealth from fiscal year 2025's appropriation of 10.64 billion to fiscal year 2026 proposed 8.80 billion. The shares in excise taxes of Virginia type cigarettes and shares from Burley and native tobacco products remain unchanged from their 2025 levels, with proposed appropriations of 17 billion and 4 billion respectively. Turning now to the succeeding slide, we present other components of the SSPNT and other ALGO funds. Back slide, please. Previous, one slide there. Here we see growth in several areas. Shares in gross income tax collections within the Cagayan Special Economic Zone increased modestly from 4.06 million in 2025 to 4.83 million in 2026, or an 18.9% growth. Moreover, shares in incremental collections from value-added tax nearly doubled from 1.02 billion in 2025 to 1.92 billion in 2026, representing a substantial 88.5% increase. Likewise, the special shares from fire code fees increased from 1.11 billion to 1.41 billion, or a 26.6% growth. Meanwhile, the Barangay Debt Officials Benefits Fund is maintained at 50 million pesos. On the status of releases under the fiscal year 2025 program, the DBM has already released a total of 57.43 billion, of which 51.64 billion was charged against the fiscal year 2025 GAA and 5.79 billion from 2024 GAA. The balance of this fund as of August 31, 2025 stands at 31.57 billion, comprising of 27.68 billion for fiscal year 2025 GAA and 3.89 billion from fiscal year 2024 General Appropriations Act. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Moving on, Mr. Chair, for BSGC, the aggregate BSGC showed a significant increase of 17.4% from 2025 to 2026. The increase is primarily attributed to the expanded support for the operations of GOCCs that serve as implementing arms of various national government projects and programs. A significant portion of the increase is attributable to the subsidy for PhilHealth, which did not receive any subsidy in fiscal year 2025. For the status of the 2025 BSGC, as of August 31, 2025, the total allotment releases amounted to 122.83 billion, of which 122.73 billion was charged against the 2025 GAA and 95.8 million from the continuing appropriations under 2024 GAA. This leaves a balance of 4.72 billion, as in 4.69 billion from 2025 GAA and 31.48 million from the 2024 GAA. Overall, the top 10 GOCCs remain the same from the previous year, except for PhilHealth, since it did not receive any subsidy in 2025. For PhilHealth, the increase of 53.26 billion is attributed to the provision of annual insurance premiums for indigent beneficiaries. For NEA, or the National Electrification Administration, the increase is attributed to the provision of subsidy for the electrification of the 3,019 unenergized sitios based on the National Total Electrification Roadmap for 2026, computed at 1.8 million per sitio, based on the actual average cost per sitio in 2023. For the BCDA, the increase is attributed to the subsidy for the Infra Development Program. For the Philippine Heart Center, the increase is attributed to the reimbursement of its quantified free services. For PSAM and PCIC, the same amounts were retained in the 2026 NEP. For PSAM, the support of the 8 billion is intended for the payment of stranded contract costs and stranded debts, while for PCIC, the amount of 4.5 billion is for the insurance coverage of agricultural crops as well as non-crops for RSBSA listed farmers and fisher folks. The rest of the top 10 GOCCs have generally shown a decreasing trend due to the exclusion of non-recurring 2025 provisions as well as completion of projects. As of August 31, 2025, the majority of the 2025 allocations for the top 10 GOCCs have already been released, amounting to 107.23 billion, with a remaining balance of 9.3 billion consisting of PSAM 8 billion, SBMA 1 billion, NHA 250 million, as well as 10,000. This basically refers to the CCAF, which have not yet been released as of date. Next, please. For the contingent fund, we are proposing to allocate 13 billion, which is the same level as in 2024 and 2025. This fund covers funding requirements of new or urgent activities or projects of NGAs, GOCCs, and LGUs that need to be implemented or paid during the year, such as, but not limited to the following: the legal obligation of the government arising from final and executory decisions of competent authorities, such as compromise agreements, arbitral awards, mediation and settlement agreement, and professional services in connection thereto. We also provide under contingent fund the requirements of newly created offices, as well as deficiencies in the appropriation for local and external travels of the President of the Philippines. In no case shall the contingent fund be used for the following: the provision of confidential intelligence funds to civilian departments and agencies with no mandate to perform security and intelligence-related functions unless the President certifies as to the extreme necessity thereof. Also, the contingent fund cannot be used to purchase motor vehicles, including any improvements thereon. Release from the contingent fund shall be subject to the prior approval of the President of the Philippines, except for payment resulting from final and executory decisions of competent authorities. For the status of the 2025 contingent fund, as of August 31, 2025, total allotments released to various implementing agencies amounts to 4.88 billion, thereby leaving a balance of 13.44 billion. This balance comprises of 12.31 billion from the 2025 GAA and 1.13 billion from the continuing appropriations 2024 GAA. A significant portion of releases from this fund pertains to the subsidy to National Housing Authority for the implementation of the resettlement projects of the displaced families in connection to Taal volcanic eruption in 2020 and 2023, amounting to 1.35 billion. Next slide, please. On the Miscellaneous Personnel Benefits Fund, or the MPBF, we are proposing an allocation of 111.52 billion for 2026, broken down as follows. For the support for the requirements of eligible agencies for the grant of 2024 PBB at 27.2 billion, 12.52 billion to cover and 9.93 billion to cover the additional health care benefits of civil servants of the national government at 7,000 yearly medical allowance. 37.97 billion will also be provided for the funding requirements for the staffing modifications and upgrading of salaries. This will also include the requirement for, if ever, for the SULU as well as the government optimization program. Under MOOE is the 200 million for the Legal Defense Fund. May we note that the 2025 NEP level of the MPBF was significantly reduced by 54.21 billion from 163.33 billion proposed in 2025 budget to 109.13 billion under the GAA. On the status of 2025 MPBF as of August 31, 2025, total releases reached 75.38 billion, bulk of which pertains to the payment of the salary increase for civilian personnel amounting to 69.3 billion. The remaining balance stands at 33.75 billion, which is expected to be released in the last quarter of the year to fund the payment of 2023 PBB, medical allowance of DepEd personnel, among others. Next, please. On the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund, or the NDRIM-F, for 2026, we are proposing 31 billion allocation, representing an increase of 10 billion from the 2025 allocation of 21 billion. The NDRIM-F shall be used for the following program and activities: aid, relief, and rehabilitation services to communities or areas affected by calamities, including training of personnel and other pre-disaster activities. That's at 15.3 billion. For the repair and reconstruction of permanent structures, including capital expenditure for pre-disaster operations, rehabilitation, and other related activities, 14.7 billion, and adaptation projects and activities of LGUs as well as community organizations, 1 billion. This amount is programmed for the People's Survival Fund, which shall be used in support of the adaptation projects and activities of LGUs and community organizations, as may be approved by the PSF or the People's Survival Fund Board in accordance with Sections 20 and 21 of RA number 9729 as amended. On the status of the 2025 NDRIM-F as of August 31, 2025, the DBM has already released a total allotment amounting to 11.66 billion, consisting of 6.48 billion for the regular NDRIM-F program and 5.18 billion for the replenishment of the Quick Response Fund, or the QRF, of various agencies, thereby leaving a balance of 9.34 billion. Next, please. On the Pension and Gratuity Fund, for 2026, we are proposing 197.99 billion to be used for claims of retired government personnel, as well as to fund pension requirements of civilian and military, as well as uniformed personnel, retirement and terminal leave benefits, the separation benefits and incentives, as well as the monetization of leave credits. The proposed amount for 2026 will be higher by 53.27 billion over the 2025 GAA level of 144.72 billion. The proposed budget was based on the agency's submission of the list of optional retirees, the MUP pension requirements, and potential funds for the government's optimization program, specifically for separation benefits and other retirement gratuity and terminal leave deficiencies. Although the proposed PGF budget for 2026 seems higher than the 2025 GAA by 53.27 billion or 36.81%, it should be noted that this percentage only offsets the 37.62% adjustments made by Congress in the 2025 GAA, where 87 billion was cut from the proposal. As a result, the 2026 SNEP actually restores the congressional adjustment. As of August 31, 2025, the DBM has released a total amount of 107.67 billion or 74.4% of the 2025 PGF, with 94.32 billion pertaining to the pensions of civilian and military and uniformed personnel. The program balance as of the same date stands at 37.07 billion, consisting of 37.05 billion from the 2025 GAA and 13.13 million from the 2024 continuing APRO. The remaining balance is expected to be fully utilized by the last quarter of the year to accommodate requests of terminal leave benefits, remaining pension requirements, as well as monetization of leave credits. For the revised AFP Modernization Fund, Mr. Chair, we are proposing a 40 billion allocation, representing an increase of 5 billion from the 2025 level of 35 billion. The fund shall be used for the acquisition and upgrading of AFP equipment and other systems. We would also like to highlight that an additional 50 billion is included under the proposed 2026 unprogrammed appropriations. On the status of the 2025 revised AFP modernization program, as of August 31, 2025, the DBM has already released a total allotment of 25.9 billion, of which 25.09 billion was charged against the 2025 GAA and 814.03 million from the continuing appropriations of the 2024 GAA. The available balance of the revised AFP modernization program as of August 31, 2025 stands at 10.34 billion, comprising of 9.91 billion from the 2025 GAA and 429 million from the continuing appropriations. For unprogrammed appropriations, for 2026, it will amount to 249.99 billion. The 249.99 billion proposed level represents 3.68% of the 6.79 trillion total budget for 2026. This is below the 4 to 5% threshold set by the multilateral organizations for unprogrammed appropriations. UA, as we shortly term it, provides standby authority to incur additional agency obligations for priority programs or projects when the revenue source has exceeded the corresponding revenue collection target and when additional grants or foreign funds are generated. The amounts authorized therein for purposes of UA may be used when any of the following exists: excess revenue collections in any one of the identified non-tax revenue sources from its corresponding revenue collection target as reflected in the BASF submitted by the President. New revenue collections or those arising from new tax or non-tax sources which are not part of nor included in the original revenue sources reflected in the BESF or approved loans for foreign-assisted projects. For the 2026, the breakdown of the UA are the SAGIP, or the Strengthening Assistance for Government Infra and Social Programs, at 80.86 billion, the budgetary support to GOCCs at 6.9 billion, the support to foreign-assisted projects, specifically for the loan proceeds at 97.31 billion, the program on risk management, 3.6 billion, refund of the service development fee for the right to develop the Nampidai property in Tokyo, Japan at 210.58 million, the prior year's LGU share of 14.62 million. We have also included, as earlier mentioned, the revised modernization program, 50 billion, the requirement for cars at 333.5 billion, among others. For the proposed budget for UA, which posed a significant decrease of 113.44 billion or 31.2% from the 363.43 billion appropriation in the 2025 GAA, which is actually as a result of the vetoed items by the President. The decrease of 113.44 billion is primarily attributed to the Congress adjustments in the 2025 GAA. These adjustments cover budgetary requirements for approved foreign assisted projects, personnel benefits, among others. For the status of the UA as of August 31, 2025, the total releases as of end of August amounted to 134.61 billion or 37.04% of the 363.43 billion appropriations, leaving a balance of 228.81 billion. Out of the 134.61 billion total releases, 99.98 billion was charged against the support to FAPS and 6.27 billion for BSGC. These items do not require certifications from the BTR prior to their release. Meanwhile, the BTR has certified an amount of 57.83 billion excess revenue collections from dividend collections, of which a total of 28.36 billion has been released to the following. For SAGIP, it's 18.75 billion, comprising of the DepEd OSEC computerization program at 9.9 billion, and DA OSEC National Rice Program, 8.85 billion. We have also made releases for the government counterpart of foreign assisted projects at 9.61 billion for DOTR OSEC, which pertains to various foreign assisted projects. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing us to present the requirements of the SPFs and the DBM.
Thank you, Asec De La Vega. We recognize the presence of the former chairperson of the Committee on Finance, Senator Lauren Legarda. We also recognize Senator Bato de la Rosa. So in order of arrival, we'll open the floor now for questions, and we recognize Senator Kiko Pangilinan for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions on the matter of open governance. It was one of the points raised in the presentation by the DBM. Considering this particular policy and how the what needs to be put in place to further strengthen it so that we can avoid what happened in the previous budget and the matter of insertions, flood control projects, and the like. It sounds good on paper, no? But obviously there were gaps. And our concern here is what are we going to do moving forward? There are some suggestions, for example, that we can put in the GAA special provisions for this 2026 budget in order to avoid or prevent a repeat of what had happened previously. But we'd like to see some inputs or suggestions from the Secretary regarding precisely how do we prevent, avoid a repeat of the mangling of the 2025 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe I can just concentrate on two major items of open government partnerships. There are three pillars, but the two most important pillars that we are really pushing now is first, the push for digitalization. We want to use modern technologies to make our budgeting and implementation of projects more transparent. And second is that the participation of the citizens and the public in the budget process. So we actually combine both in one of our major programs, which we launched this year. This is the Project Dime. That is a result of the Open Government Partnership advocacy that we are doing right now. So there's a system now that we actually started together with the help of other government agencies. It will show, it's an open platform in our website. It will show all the infrastructure projects listed in the General Appropriations Act. It will show the status of each and every project. And at the same time, the citizen can also play a role by inputting their comments and the actual implementation of such projects. Number two is this is also included in the new Government Procurement Act, the use of the provision on beneficial ownership. This is our program together with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Maybe later I can ask the GBP, BTSO, and PSDBM to elaborate further. Wherein the citizen and even the implementing agencies will be able to see the owners of or the suppliers of the projects and programs that the agency will actually procure in the General Appropriations Act. And then, among others, marami pa po, no? But lastly, siguro po, what we can also request the body is the Freedom of Information Law, which is also a pillar in the Open Government Partnership. We have yet to finalize the admin version of the Freedom of Information. It's right to information now. And then at the right time, we will ask our good, even our good senators present here to file the same and maybe include the same in the legislative agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can we get your comment on perhaps it could be included initially as a special provision sa GAA, but moving forward, perhaps a separate bill altogether that will become a part of the law or become a law. No? For example, the transparency and the participatory process of the bottoms-up budgeting. I think that that may somehow prevent a repeat, or could prevent a repeat of these insertions and implementations of projects wherein LGUs are unaware that these flood control projects were actually implemented in their area. So, so that is one, no? The bottom-up budgeting process. Could that not be institutionalized in the preparation of our budgeting? Second, you mentioned it already, but the citizens' participatory audit, maybe in partnership with the Commission on Audit, as a recurring practice, not just a project. And finally, well, again, involving the local governments, the seal of good housekeeping. I think this should be made permanent. Now, whether it will be through a separate law or a General Appropriations Act special provision is something that we're looking at moving forward. Mahalaga kasi yung bottoms-up budgeting dahil kasama yung stakeholders, kasama ang local government na identify yung pangangailangan, mayroong transparency. At pagka may transparency, mas mahirap yung yung secret deals, transactions, kickback, etc. Palagay ko mahalaga ito para maiwasan na itong mga yung kasabwat, yung contractor, yung district engineer, yung politiko, dahil nandyan na yung stakeholders, nandyan na yung civil society organizations, nandyan na yung LGU, etc. Mas marami ang mga mata, mas mababantayan yung pondo.
You're correct, Mr. Chair. In fact, with what's happening now, our legal team are already preparing a provision na there will be close coordination of the national government agencies with the local government concerned. We have prepared a provision already, and then we'll share it with the committee, with our chair, for consideration at the proper time during the committee or amendments at the plenary, Mr. Chair. And for the bottom-up budgeting, we also have a bill pending now. We're still trying to expand the bill. This is the PBBM, Progressive Budgeting Modernization. And we would like to also include the provision on bottom-up budgeting in the proposed bill, Mr. Chair. We have an admin version already, but we will have to revise it and expand and strengthen and to put more safeguards in terms of the budgeting process, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Secretary. We hope we will turn over some documents to the chairperson of the Committee on Finance. These are actually EOs. EO number 55, directing the integration and automation of government financial management systems. This is DBM, DILG, DSWD, NAPSI Joint Memorandum Circular, policy guidelines and procedures in the implementation of the bottom-up budgeting projects. This is also another circular, policy guidelines and procedures in open governance and the like. No? So, and hopefully we can start with the GAA and then the proposed bills that you are crafting, if you can provide us some copies so that we can coordinate and work together in that regard. Thank you for that. On the other matter, which is really my pet peeve, but I understand there was a meeting, if not yesterday, the other day, yes, and your office relayed that it's going to be done. I think there is this
month po. This month.
Yes, this
Mr.
is
Chair.
the rules, IRR on the Government Procurement Board policy on the Sagip-Saka Act. And the commitment is this month so that our government agencies can start purchasing directly sa ating farmers and fisher folk. I just contacted Secretary Kiko because my understanding sa meeting kahapon may concerns yung DA. Sabi ko, wag nang i-concern ng DA kasi we should, I guess, interpret who's familiar with it. We should interpret the provisions liberally in favor of our farmers and fisher folk, no? Rather than strictly. So sabi ko kay Secretary Kiko, itanggapin na yung pinopropose ng GPPB para tapos na, no? And again, I don't know if you have the numbers, but I requested it to sa DBCC yung how much does government buy food every year? Yes, but could you just on record para lang do you have the data? Because if we put in place, you know, that system of a portion of that budget annually will now be purchased directly sa farmers and fisher folk organizations, then that will be a major game changer. I've, you know, for example, magkano yung 4-piece budget for rice? It's about 20 plus billion ata ang is that right? Yeah? Yes. And then the DepEd feeding program is about 11 billion. Just to place it on record so that baka, hindi pa kasama dyan yung calamity relief ng LGUs o estima. Lahat yan bumibili ng bigas.
Mr. Chair, what we have now, what we have submitted to the committee is for fiscal year, for the NEP 2026 is roughly 70 billion pesos. But as I can see here, tama po kayo, hindi pa po kasama dito yung mga pag meron pong disasters and yung mga relief goods that the DSWD is providing. Dito ang
Provincial jails.
budgetary support to government corporations na hospitals, Lung Center, National Kidney,
Armed Forces.
Yes po.
PNP. Lahat kasi tayo kumakain.
Tama po.
So yun, no? And maybe if it can be submitted so that we can, because I will ask all the agencies, Mr. Chairman, during their budget presentation, what they plan to do, how do they intend to implement the law, given their food budgets. So this is already putting them on notice that if they don't have a plan, we will request that their budgets be deferred to implement this in full. Para namang bigyan natin ng importansya yung mga nagpapakain sa atin. I'm sure nakakaligtaan and nakakalungkot. Sabi ko nga, invisible ang ating mga farmers at fisher folk at hindi binibigyan ng sapat na pagkilala at suporta at ito sa man lang, gobyerno ang manguna. So I'd like to thank the Secretary for the opportunity and I have no other questions and this month, sabi ni Secretary Amina na we'll get the GPPB resolution approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Kiko, and I support the Sagip-Saka law. In fact, Valenzuela used that mechanism to buy directly from the farmers in order to replenish our relief goods operation. So, kasi ang LGU mayroon rin mga relief goods operation, so they buy directly to the farmers, from the co-ops to be specific. So that's a very good law. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I can just add, I just remember kasi pero nakasabog po siya sa buong special provision at general provision. No? Like for example, sa Bureau of Corrections, there's a budget for subsistence and medical allowances for persons deprived of liberty. So ayun, food din po yun. May nilagay lang.
Our responsibility po ng government to
prioritize yun. Yun
Sana
po, Mr.
sinama
Chair.
niyo yung 11321 para maliwanag.
Sama po namin 11321.
That's the Sagip-Saka Act.
Sagip-Saka.
Ang
Yes po.
Yes.
Nakasabog po siya, so maybe we can, pwedeng general.
Kasi ang alam ko, ang Bucor, ang budget at least two years ago was 2 billion for food.
Mas,
So you
mas malaki na po ngayon.
Exactly. So, tsaka yung, sabi ko nga, 11321, dati kasi,
Palagay na lang.
yung pinakamalaking scam, yung Napoles scam, na 10 billion na pondo ng agri. So, ninanakawan yung ating mga farmer. Kaya dati, nawa 123 yung mga farmer. So, yung Republic Act 11321, baliktad ang mangyayari. Hindi na 123. Matutulungan na. But levity aside, thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Chairperson, Secretary, and to our resource persons. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
I have a question based on the question. Is that allowed? It's not yet my time. I support that. I just wanted to know the process on how the DBM can cascade it to the departments, regions, and then the districts to procure locally. Because, di ba, meron silang mga storage maganda sa papel, baka hindi masunod, paano ang procurement? Let's say, yung local na mga magsasaka na kooperatiba, kung yung kanilang mga bigas, paano mabebenta kung yung procurement, let's say, ng DSWD ay sa central at sa region. Naka-pre-position na sa mga storage facilities na binibili baka imported rice or NFA rice, pero saan galing? In short, ako'y sang-ayon na sang-ayon. Alam mo naman ako si MSME at si lokal. Pero paano kaya yung proseso to ensure na mabibili yung lokal na bigas, lokal na asukal, lokal na even packaging, di ba? Ang procurement minsan ng DSWD at ibang ahensya ng gobyerno, centralized. Paano kaya yun? Pero super sang-ayon ako. Gawan nyo kung may makakasagot sa procurement process ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno, kung hindi kayo yun, kung ibang ahensya, paano natin i-correct kung hindi pa man ginagawa yon? Thank you.
And if I may just add, before the question is answered, I understand the DSWD through Secretary Gatchalian has already decentralized some of the purchases for, and consistent with the Sagip-Saka Act. So, but you're right, how do we now make it like, in fact, I was suggesting an executive order by Malacanang to include the floor price for palay. If government chooses to purchase palay from the farmers for their own calamity relief, rice distribution, etc. But yes, perhaps the question can.
Opo, thank you, Madam Chair, for that intervention. Yes po, I think we have a provision, existing provision in the new Government Procurement Act. But medyo makapal po kasi yung batas na yon. So if necessary, we'll just issue a resolution para po yung the other agencies can understand how to go through with the procurement process. And top of mind lang po, no, I was wondering if PSDBM can do it, but we'll still have to study it because yung PSDBM provides for the common use supply. So the idea is the rice can be a common use supplies or the milk or among others po. No? But we'll have to work together and see how we can go about it. And then PSDBM is also present nationwide. So baka we can do that, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
A suggestion, I'm sure they might be doing it. Alam naman natin lahat ng mga suppliers sa kooperatiba, associations, ng mga MSME sa kada LGU, sa kada probinsya, kada distrito. Kamukha, meron dairy authority. Let's say ako sa maliit na bayan ng Belison, merong kooperatiba ng bigas, yan, ayon sa Sagip-Saka. Sana yun ang mga unang source na bibilan kaysa yung procurement sa region o sa central. Oo. Siguro, yung sinasabi ni Secretary na mahirap intindihin na makapal na bagong batas sa procurement dahil bago pa, ay i-operationalize para ang DTI at ang DSWD at ang DA, lalo na sa panahon ng sakuna, ay sinusunod yung local procurement. Oo. Yung pinakamaikli na biyahe, pinakamalapit, di ba?
May I just add, with the permission of the chairperson, actually nung COVID, 13 LGUs bought rice directly from the Camarines Sur Multipurpose Cooperative. Wala nang public bidding. That was COVID, but and therefore they justified it under emergency purchases. But the law was already in place. Wala pa yung IRR nun. In other words, even if there is no emergency situation, Sagip-Saka applies. And because 13 LGUs bought rice directly sa ating farmers cooperative, multipurpose cooperative, year on year, in 2019, they only sold 7 million pesos worth of agri-products. But by third quarter 2020, because of 13 LGUs buying directly, they were already selling 62 million pesos worth of agri-products. So that precisely is, when you buy local, that is the net effect. You're actually bringing back the money to the local and therefore creating a strong local economy.
If I may, Mr. Chair, Nung panahon nga ng COVID, buti pinaalala po nyo, sa Antique po, ang ginawa namin ay binili namin lahat ng mga pagkain at gulay ng growers ng Highlands. Dahil puro nun roadblocks or blockades, hindi makapunta sa mga merkado sa Isla ng Panay o sa Maynila. Binili namin kasama ng mga LGUs at yun ang binibigay na pagkain sa mga hindi makalabas ng bahay para may pagkain sila. Imbis na mag-aantay kami mula sa rehiyon, dun na, local. So, that's the concept of what you're saying. Thank you.
Kung uulitin ko rin lang, pag sa lokal na kasi bumibili direkta, pati yung mga local traders na pipilitang itaas ang kanilang purchase price. I mentioned this already before, I'll just reiterate it. Sorsogon, for example, the governor started buying directly sa ating farmers ng palay for their calamity relief. May rice mill kasi yung Sorsogon province. So, nung binili nila, before they started buying, palay was being sold by the farmers at 13 pesos a kilo sa mga trader. Nung pumasok na ang Sorsogon provincial government, bumili ng 20 pesos per kilo. The following week, binibili na ng trader ng 23. So, ibig sabihin, kaya palang dagdagan ng 10 piso kada kilo ng trader kung meron siyang kakompetensya. So, ibig sabihin, and that's why I want to reiterate, if an executive order by the President can be issued, that for purchases by government of local and national of palay during the season of harvest season, dapat may floor price para mapilitan din ang ating mga trader na makisabay. Hindi naman dapat kumikita ang, in fact, hindi siya makakatipid pa sa yung gobyerno pag bumibili direkta sa farmers. The purchase bought directly sa farmers co-op at 15 pesos less per kilo. Ibig sabihin, nakabili ka pa ng mas marami doon sa 20 million mo at marami kang natulungan at nakatulong sa farmer. So, sorry if I have to be makulit, but yun lang, malaking bagay sa ating mga farmers at fisherfolk. And one more point, Mr. Chairperson. I remember when I was still in the Senate in 2021 and 2022 and up to 2023, pina-follow up ko, lumalabas yung special provisions sa GAA citing sa GIPSACA Act and calling on national and local governments to purchase. Nawala noong 2024, 2025 ata. So sana maibalik sa 2026. We will prepare the provision draft and then we'll submit it to the chairperson. Yun na lamang po. Maraming salamat po.
I'm assuming that the law is self-executory. It's a very simple law that allowing local governments, government entities to buy directly to the farmers through co-ops. So, self-executory. But some LGUs natatakot kung walang IRR.
Wala
No?
pong IRR.
So, very cautious sila. Baka biglang mag-COA audit
COA
report.
will also look for the IRR.
Correct, yeah.
That's right. And maybe the DBM after and the GPPB, after you come up with your resolution, maybe you can do a dissemination, information dissemination of the IRR. Because yesterday, the hearing of a budget briefing of the Department of Agrarian Reform, merong silang budgetary appropriations for purchasing sa ating farmers. Pero hindi nila alam yung batas. So when I turned it over to Secretary Estrella, he said, uy, pag-aralan natin ito. So clearly, maraming hindi pa nakakaalam. And there may be some reasons why they don't want it, or they're afraid because baka makuha sila. Yung iba, ayaw lang talaga implement kasi walang kickback. Di ba? Sorry, I'm putting it out there, di ba? Ayaw implementahin yung batas dahil kailangan may public bidding para yung mga trader ang magiging involved at syempre, ang kalakaran sa ibang mga ahensya, kailangan may kickback bago aprobahan yung mga budget. So, these are combination, several, and that's why with the GPPB resolution and information dissemination, maganda na ma-implementa ng tama.
Yes po, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair. We just need to come up and approve yung corresponding guidelines for this po, pati po yung sinabi ni Senator Lauren Regarda. Kasi under the new Government Procurement Act, Section 35 on negotiated procurement, there's 35.11 which includes community participation. Ito po, if I can read po, short lang naman. The procuring entity may directly purchase goods, including agricultural and fishery products from local farmers and fisher folks, and directly negotiate simple infrastructure projects or local communities or social groups or members thereof. So it's already in the law. We just have to, subject to issuance of guidelines lang po.
But can I just clarify? Because you mentioned it, and I've raised it already before. That is the procurement law as amended.
Yes.
Sa GIPSACA is a separate law. GIPSACA law, while it says it should adhere to the procurement regulations of the GPPB or the DBM, it is exempted from the procurement law. So I suggested not to put it under community participation provision of the procurement law because it's exempted from the procurement law. If at the very least you create a separate GPPB resolution, if you want to put community participation under that resolution as a guideline, fine, but it should be separate. It should not be under the procurement law. It's exempted from the procurement law, but guided by the regulations of procurement of the DBM and the laws. But pero exempted siya. Para kasi pagka you lump it up all together and then diba, sasabihin hindi pala exempted sa procurement law. So we have, it will create some confusion. So let's be clear. It's exempted from the procurement law. Let's not put it under community participation under that law of procurement. Come up with a separate resolution. That's my suggestion, and I hope it can be taken. It will be taken into consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Kiko. The next will be Senator De La Rosa. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions lang. Una yung about yung pension and gratuity fund. I've noticed na during the last 2 years, masyadong malaki yung cut from the NEP to GAA. Maybe we know kung as a result of this, meron ba kayong natanggap na mga complaints from the retirees kung hindi sila nababayaran sa kanilang mga claims? May namomonitor ba kayo from the different agencies?
Yes, Mr. Chair. When it was cut, the PGF, what we did was we used all the balances that was provided under the GAA. And then any deficiency, we actually access the unprogrammed appropriation. So, but the thing there is that we still have to wait for the excess revenue. But that's what we did, Mr. Chair.
So wala kayong problema?
Yes, sir, but we don't want to experience that again because it affects, of course, there's that waiting time for the excess revenue before we can access the unprogrammed appropriation.
Thank you. Mukhang wala nga dahil tuloy-tuloy yung aking cheque sa land bank. Pero yung may narinig lang kung iba yung pero anyway, siguro basta coming from you, wala kayo na monitor na problema, no? Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Chair, minsan may mga delays lang po dahil nga po nababawasan yung fund ng PGF, Mr. Chair.
Siguro ipaliwanag ng DBM bakit nangyari yun na linipat sa unprogrammed at paano maiiwasan, sabi nyo, buti walang problema, natatanggap niya yung cheque niya. yung walang umaangal. Pero nangyari yun, sabi nyo, kasi linipat kasi sa unprogrammed. Saan nangyari yung paglipat? Ano yung linipat? Paliwanag nyo sa amin. At paano maiiwasan yung ganong kaganapan? Yun. Thank you. Para lang makumpleto yung storya.
If I may, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Senator. So, the the adjustment was made at the level of the budget authorization. So we have proposed an amount for the PGF, and we have explained the breakdown. So we are actually seeking the wisdom of both houses of Congress to hopefully consider the proposal of the DBM and not reduce the amount for the PGF as proposed. Because those are based on requests of the agencies. We have required them to submit forms as to the optional retirees and the compulsory retirees as well.
Sabi po nyo, yung inyong NEP na Pension and Gratuity Fund na tanong po ni Senator De La Rosa ay sana wag puputulin, wag gagawing source na i-realign ng Kongreso, meaning the two houses, para sa ibang proyekto, maliban sa intention na PGF. Tama ba ho?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, para
yes,
lang
Madam
maliwanag,
Senator.
diba, sa ating lahat. Oo.
Yes, I had a hard time finding the more
Piniliwanag ko
diplomatic
na nga
words.
para sa DBM. Yun na nga
Thank
ibig-
you. Yes,
Because,
that's how
you know,
it is.
Please do not hesitate to tell us what you mean so that we understand each other. Yes. So, what happened that he was prompted to ask that and he heard that there could have been some effects. Ano yung dapat hindi gawin namin para hindi na mangyari yung fear na magkaka-delay or kailangan maging unprogrammed, na kailangan alam natin naman yung pag-release ng unprogrammed ay may requirements bago ma-release. Yan. Para maliwanag po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Senator. So, to be straightforward, to not reduce the amounts as we have proposed based on the request of the various agencies. Thank you.
And if it is reduced, what are the possible consequences? Mr. Chair, thank you.
If the amount is reduced, we would be having a difficulty, or worse, we would not be able to address all of the requirements of our retirees. And in 2025, for example, if some amount would be, if some amount is transferred to the UA, then we will have to wait for the additional revenues or the additional fund source before we can make the release if the amounts programmed are insufficient.
How much of the GAA 2025 for PGF was transferred to the unprogrammed allocations, unprogrammed funds? Thank you. I hope, Senator Bato, yes, just so that then after I yield to you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ma'am, our records, Mr. Chair, sorry. 87 ba? Okay.
If you, may answer ka na dun sa tanong ni Senator Loren. Kung wala pa, mayroon pang isang follow-up question dyan. Bakit daw yung kinakat ng sa pension and gratuity fund, dalawang component daw yan eh. Yung isa sa military and uniform personnel, yung isa sa civilian. Pag nag-cut kayo, doon palagi sa civilian, ang military at uniform hindi binabawasan.
Hindi para correction hindi nga sila ang nagkakat, tayo nga Kongreso.
At yung nga.
Para maliwanag, di ba? Hindi nga DBM.
Kayo na naman ang pagkalitan.
Nagmamakaawa nga ang DBM na wag ikat ng Kongreso, tama? O yun, para lang maliwanag. O, yun. Sige. At mismo ang chair ang nagsabi, usually yung civilian sector ang kinakat. Pero may dahilan yung pagkakat. Baka naman hindi kailangan o baka may fat na pwedeng gamitin sa ibang proyekto na may pakinabang sa bansa. Kaya ipaliwanag po nyo. Yun. At so yung tanong ni Senator, ano po yung linipat sa unprogrammed funds for GAA 2025, if any, and what are the possible consequences, and should we not do it again. It should not be done again. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Usually the cuts are done under the civilian requirements, but however, those are for the optional retirees. So in the ranking of which should be released, which requirement should be released first, we dwell on the mandatory retirees. So nagsasuffer talaga yung mga optional retirees. Nadidelay yung kanilang, in the event that we cannot, let's say for example, the PGF is already insufficient, and we can, bawal mag-retire daw po, and we cannot access the, yes, optional po yung tinatamaan, ma'am.
Yung mga optional lang naman pala. So, sorry, sumisingit ako sa tanong mo kasi interesting. I mean, being former chair, that used to be a source of cuts. Pag slow moving, o hindi kailangan, so kailangan paliwanag. So, hindi nakakat sa military, for sure. Uniform personnel.
Yes,
Hindi po.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Sa civilian, sa police, hindi nakakat.
MUP, that stands
MUP,
for the
military
MUP. So,
and uniform
and
personnel,
defense.
kasama ang pulis doon.
Okay. Kasama na yung police doon. So, yung optional na magre-retire, yun ang possible na kinakat. Yun lang po. Oo.
There were also significant years na pati yung requirement ng MUP, kinat siya. So, the only remedy that we have is to look at the unprogrammed appropriation para makover yung deficiency.
Alam nyo kung ganong sitwasyon ba? Alam mo yung madali yung kayo palagi ang mag-retire. DBM kasi, DBM, hindi kami pinugraman, ganon. Sagutin ninyo, hindi kami nag-cut niyan, yung mga senador nyo, mga congressman ninyo nag-cut niyan. Dapat ganon na sagutin nyo para ipasa ninyo yung blame sa mga nag-decide na i-cut yan. Di ba? Kayo, tanggap lang kayo ng tanggap ng blame. Hindi kayo marunong magtulak ng blame sa iba. Anyway, hindi ko kayo tinuturuan, baka magalit sa akin yung ibang legislators na nag-cut niyan, ha? My next question, Mr. Chair, is doon sa INTAPE ILCAC. Nakita ko this year yung 2025 ang pinaka maliit na budget ninyo sa Barangay Development Fund. So far, pinakamababa. Ano maging epekto nito? Kasi sabi ninyo, 100% na kayong barangay cleared. Lahat ng barangays, barangay cleared na of insurgency. So, when you say 100%, ibig sabihin, dumami ang recently cleared barangays which need attention para mabigyan natin ng Barangay Development Fund. So, kung bumaba ito, tapos tumaas ang inyong barangay clearance, malaki ang gap sa inyong programming siguro. Can you answer the question?
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. On participation, we were able to liberate them from the clutches of insurgency. And our commitment now is to deliver that socio-economic development to these communities. As we speak, Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, we are now serving the 4,830th barangay. Tapos meron pa pong mga naiiwan and we intend to have them served towards the end of this administration. But for 2025, sir,
ngayon, magkano na yung
ang
yung
BDP,
package
sir,
ng BDP?
Sir, for 2025, sir, we proposed, and it was in the NEP also, for 2025, that 10 million barangay will be allocated for the 780 barangays for 2025. So 10 million, sir, yung nasa NEP, but the only approved appropriation was 2.5 million, sir. So when we presented that during the Execom last March to the President meeting, although the allocated budget is just 2.5 million per barangay of the 780 BDP barangay this year, there is hope that just like last year, ma'am, na ma-recover yung 5 million pa para so that we can bring up the allocation per barangay to 7.5 million. But as it stands right now, sir, 2.5 million per barangay pa rin tayo. And we are proposing, moving forward to 2026, sir, ganun pa rin, sir, 10 million, nasa NEP na rin. We are hoping na sana for 2026, hindi na po magalaw yun because it cost a lot of delay in the implementation. So, yung sinasubmit nila is worth 10 million pesos na project. So, when project implementation, sir, so if 10 million would be if the proposed amount of 10 million would be granted as proposed in the NEP, it would be a smooth implementation. Hindi na po natin ibabalik sa kanila yung yung kanilang mga proposed project. There are 5 core projects in the BDP, sir. Yun lang po yung menu. It may come in different combination: farm to market road, sir, school building, barangay health station, electrification, and the last one is water and sanitation, sir. Yun lang. But in a BDP barangay, it may come in different combinations. There are barangays na farm to market lang yung buong 10 million pesos. There are barangays na combination of health station and school building. Basta magkakasya po yung ceiling na ibibigay natin sa kanila. The barangays are very thankful because, as I've said earlier, they could feel that there is a government that cares. 808 barangay for 2026, Mr. Chair. Distinguished colleagues, salamat po.
Thank you. Ang release nito through LGSF, right? Bawat barangay development program.
Yes, sir.
LGSF.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues. Yes, sir. This is how it is released. Hindi po dumadaan yan sa NTF-ELCAC, hindi rin dumadaan sa DILG. We just provide the oversight. So diretso po from the DBM, they issue the SARO and the NCA, and then subsequently the Bureau of Treasury would issue the NADAI to the implementing LGU. Yung po
Kaya mas maganda yan, alam nyo, if you have observed, no, direct to LGSF, yung pera, hindi dumadaan sa DND, hindi dumadaan sa DILG, sa NTF-ELCAC mismo, hindi direkta doon sa munisipyo or barangay na mag-implement niyan, di ba? Ngayon, ang napakagandang sistema yan, yung checks and balances. Dahil ang mga sundalo, naglalakad doon sa barangay, mga pulay, sabihan nila yung mga tao, this year, merong nakaprogram na barangay development fund dito na 15 million. During the time of President Duterte, 20, bumaba ng 15, di ba? O 20 million. In the form of solar lights yun. Kaya, makikita nyo yan next year, i-implement yan. So, ngayon, ang mga tao umaasa. Umaasa ang mga tao. Hindi talaga yung pwedeng kurakutin ng LGU doon. Dahil ang mga tao mismo, gini-inform ng sundalo yung mga tao na meron kayo, huwag kayong magpapaloko, kailangan ma-implement yan. So, kung makita mo, mag-ikot ka sa mga barangays, lalong-lalo na doon sa Southern Mindanao, ang daming mga magagandang barangay na may magagandang kalsada na, may mga solar lights, makita mo ang development talaga. So, that malaking puntos yan sa gobyerno dahil ang sentimento ng tao ay nagiging pro-government sila from anti-government. Kaya nga, my next question is, aside from BD, Barangay Development Programs, projects, meron ba kayong pondo na nakadedicate towards to counter the recruitment and radicalization ng mga estudyante sa mga eskwelahan? Dahil sa ngayon, marami akong report na natanggap na andyan na naman daw sila, very much alive and kicking yung kanilang recruitment program sa mga eskwelahan. Meron ba kayong pondo na nakadedicate para dyan?
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, there are two types of budget item funds that we are talking about here. One is the BDP, sir, pag pinag-usapan natin NTF-ELCAC, and the other one is the budget for the National Secretariat NTF-ELCAC, which is under the Office of the President, sir. Yung sa amin, the office that I handle is the National Secretariat. We only have, for the past year, 2024, 69 million to run the National Secretariat, no, with 45 personnel.
So in short, wala talaga kayong pundo dedicated dyan para maggawa ka ng programs para dyan sa counter recruitment ng mga NPA sa mga eskwelahan? Wala.
There is a minuscule budget because one of the programs, 5 programs under the budget of the National Secretariat is information and education campaign. Diyan po nakapaloob yung the whole budget like for this year, sir, is just 70 million.
70
million po yung buong budget ng National Secretariat, and the exact amount for the information and education campaign is 9.3 million, sir, for the whole year.
For the whole year?
Yes, sir.
For the whole Philippines?
For the whole Philippines,
Ilang
sir.
eskwelahan yan na pwedeng puntahan ninyo? Pundo na yan.
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, the beauty about the NTF-LCAC is the whole of nation mechanism. So the NTF-LCAC structure is replicated down to the provincial, regional, and municipal level. So the whole of nation participation with the presidential directive, all the agencies, lahat po ng miyembro ng NTF-LCAC are mandated to support the efforts in resolving the root causes of insurgency. Therefore, sir, kahit na po walang specific item ng NTF-LCAC in a member agency ng EXICOM natin, sir, they are directed to provide support. For example, sir, ang DICT, wala naman po silang NTF-LCAC, but their Konektadong Pinoy program is being prioritized in the BDP barangays. So, that is replicated in the different agencies. Kaya po nagkakaroon ng attribution dun sa accomplishment ng mandate ng NTF-LCAC, since it is a whole of government and a whole of nation participation campaign, Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, Yusek Torres. Maraming salamat. Mr. Chair, that's all. Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you. I'll pursue some questions later on regarding NTF-LCAC, but I'll reserve that later na lang, Yusek. Next will be Senator Legarda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few questions of clarification to the DBM regarding the process. Just very, very simple questions based on previous statements made by the DBM leadership. Does the DBM require feasibility studies, engineering designs, program of work documentation to accompany the agency budget submissions, especially for infrastructure projects? If so, are these requirements consistently enforced across all agencies, or do exceptions persist or exist? Or you assume that all of these are already done, the complete staff work and all the submissions are done supposedly by the agencies and the budgets are submitted? So, is it part of the mandate of the DBM to actually have engineers, have planners, architects, to know all of this? Otherwise, you'll be the super agency to know how roads... No, I want to understand, because how that means for every road that's built, you must make sure that the length and the width and the depth is correct. Otherwise, that's substandard. That every bridge that you fund emanating from government coffers must not be substandard, must not have a crack, must not fall within how long, you will be blamed again. So that's my question. Before the NEP, there are the budget authorization process, and all agencies, DPWH, not just that, PA, even let's say small agencies and programs like DTI, shared services facilities, where equipment and tools are given to MSMEs. Does that mean that when you fund a DTI SSF, you know the kind of equipment that they will be buying? Because pag hindi umaandar yan, bakit pinondohan ng DBM? Kasi inaakusa kayo na bakit nyo pinondohan yan ay mukhang ghost sa itsura or parang sa technical description, parang hindi tama. So, let's expand it from DPWH up to DA, up to DTI, sa lahat na ng ahensya, sa procurement ng DOH. Paano yan? Sa mga gamot at sa mga gamit sa ospital. Kailangan ba kayong meron din mga specialista sa medical equipment? Pakipaliwanag. I'd like to hear from Secretary Pangandaman and perhaps Yusek Abuel. You've been there, Yusek Janet, for a very long time. Should you therefore hire all these specialists in every field to vet every line item in the NEP that you are presenting to Congress? Yeah. Okay. I want to understand. So that, para maintindihan ng publiko, ano ba ang expectation sa inyo? Yes. Thank you.
Can start with the other agencies first, no? Like the DTI, yung SSF. And there are also other programs in other agencies na similarly situated. Because the SSF po is like a, parang lump sum po yan doon under the DTI. However, what we do po is that there's a provision in the budget that says that the release of these funds are subject to guidelines issued by the implementing agencies po. Ganun po ang nangyayari. So, yung pag-check, pag-i-implement at pag-monitor at pag-identify ng beneficiaries nung, for example, SSF, nasa ahensya po yun, nasa DTI. Because they know better po kung ano yung nangyayari sa grounds. Like kung sino yung mga co-ops na kailangan bigyan, sino yung MSMEs na mga kailangan bigyan. Ganun po. Now, in other DPWH naman po,
extent is the DBM's mandate so that people would understand your role in funding the projects, whether road or bridge or flood control, what is the expectation and the capability of the DBM? Thank you.
Sa DPWH naman po, considering po the magnitude of the department's role in infrastructure projects, like bridges, roads, or whatsoever, we respect po yung mandato ng DPWH na sila po ang nagbibigay ng mga proyekto sa amin po. Ang sa DBM lang po at saka sa DBCC is that we provide them the ceiling of their budget sa DPWH. And then yung loob po nun, sila po ang because yun po, again, we don't have the technical capacity po to check whether, kahit isubmit po nila sa amin, ang mangyayari lang po, wala po kaming babalikan nila kami. Paano nyo naman nalaman na hindi pwede yan? Ganun po yung mangyayari. If we'll talk about the specifics of the budget. Kasi po sa EO 29 EO what? EO 292 role po ng agency to request for appropriations to the Department of Budget in accordance with the budget calendar, among others. And then may specific po dito sa Book 6, Title 5, under the Public Works and Highways, Chapter 1, Section 2, mandate, the Department of Public Works and Highways shall be the state's engineering and construction arm and is tasked to carry out the policy enunciated above. To identify, on Section 3, powers and functions, to identify, plan, secure funding for, program, design, construct, and undertake the pre-qualification bidding awards, among others, of contracts for public works and projects, with the exception only of specialized programs undertaken by the government. So yung mga maliliit pong mga proyekto per district or province or barangay, sagot na po yun ng DPWH, depends on their core mandate as provided hereof. Ang meron lang po kaming talagang say or nakikita kung nasusunod are foreign assisted projects because we are part of the ICC board. And the approval of these projects, of foreign assisted projects, goes through a very long process from the NEDA to DOF to a technical working group and up to the approval of the President po, Office of the President po.
Madam Chair.
We recognize the presence of Senator Rodante Marcoleta.
May I?
With the permission of
with the
Senator
permission
Ligarda.
of yes. I know the importance of the point being raised by our colleague Senator Ligarda. In the earlier DBCC meeting, I recall, Madam Secretary, that the DBM has no technical capability to check the submission of the DPWH, it being a specialized agency. That's how you described it earlier. But even if we assume that that is the case, the point raised by Senator Ligarda is very, very fundamental. Because like in the itemization or listing of flood control projects, the projects have not been described sufficiently enough. Like, pag sinabi mong flood mitigation, wala man lang indication as to whether it is a river alignment, like it's a dike, it's a revetment, and they did not consider the morphology of the rivers. We have 18 river basins in this country. At hindi naman pare-pareho ang characteristics ng ating mga rivers. Sabi nga natin nung isang araw, they did not even consider the depth, the width, the contour, the elevation, the discharge capacity of a river, even the carrying capacity. So, paano niyo malalaman kung anong ilalagay lang nila flood mitigation? I think that is where you should come in. It does not take naman masyadong technical dun eh. Isang tao lang siguro ang magra-random will be enough to at least check kung ano-ano ang nilagay ng DPWH doon. And in the case of the foreign assisted projects, as I have cited your letter as early as 2023, you have already forewarned the DPWH. Mr. Chair, doon sa letter ng ating secretary sa DPWH in 2023, she already stressed the importance of adhering strictly to the ceilings provided by the DBM insofar as the foreign assisted projects are concerned. And sabi pa nga nila, we're doing this considering that these projects have been vetted, have been validated by the DBM. Alam po ang ginagawa ng DPWH, kung ano yung ceiling na nilalagay ng DBM, binabawasan nila deliberately. And I pointed out yesterday, kung minsan 79 billion po ang ilalagay nyo, maglalagay sa 70 without any justification. Nagkaroon pa nga 2024, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko nga malaman, binawasan na nga ng SANEP, ng DPWS, ginawang zero sa GAA. Alam ko po, nagalit ang presidente, bakit siniro ninyo flagship projects itong mga to, foreign assisted? Ang ginawa ng DPWS, kunwari yung sumunod na taon, 2025, dinagdagan niya ng konti. Pero itong 2026, inulit na naman niya. You can see in their submission, 160 billion ang ceiling na binigay nyo, ginawa niyang 100, removing the 67 billion. At will, ginagawa nila. At nakikita ko po, Mr. Chair, kaya ginagawa nila yon. Doon nila minamanipulate yung ibang projects na kunwari sasabihin nilang SSP, may CSSP, merong SIPAG projects, merong OO1, merong OO2. Ito po yung mga local projects, locally funded projects na doon nila dinadivert. Kaya tama po yung sinasabi ni Senator Ligarda. Ma'am, pinoint out ko na po sa inyo. DBM is Department of Budget and Management. We wish that the term management magkaroon po ng ano yun eh. The management aspect of your department must guide all this. Mr. Chair, salamat po.
With the permission of Senator Legarda, Secretary Mina, we're looking at your budget. Meron kayong in the budget improvement project, 1.5 million, public financial management program, 621 million, sa fiscal discipline and openness program, 31 million. Ang punto namin, Secretary Mina, ang DPWH, aminin na natin, kompromiso na sila. Kahapon lang sa hearing ni Senator Marcoleta, tahasang inadmit nila may ghost projects na ginagawa doon. Sinasubcon sa mga walang hiya at gumagawa ng ghost project para mabayaran yung sarili nila. Hindi na natin pwedeng ma-rely yung binibigay ng mga projects ng DPWH kasi nanggagaling yan sa district eh. Alam ko because nag-congressman ako, manggagaling yan sa district, gagaling yan sa region, aakyat yan sa atin. Pag binigay nyo sa amin basura, lalabas basura rin. No, garbage in, garbage out. Kaya we're relying on DBM with the 600 million to reform the process. At least man lang, masala nyo yung mga basura para hindi umakyat dito sa basura. That's the point we're trying to make. Because we have to admit, compromise na ang DPWH eh. And it will, I think, it will take time for Secretary Vince to clean it up. So we're relying on DBM to clean up yung mga basura para hindi naman umakyat dito basura rin. So, yun ang nangyayari ho ngayon. At we will help you by allocating funds to improve your system, go to digitalization, maybe use artificial intelligence para makita ang ano. We will help you because ang DBM is the gatekeeper of our budget eh. And we need you to make sure that the NEP is credible pagdating na sa amin. That's the point we're trying to make, no?
Yes po, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, understand po. Of course, from our end po, no, syempre, we also respect DPWH during that time po, no. Syempre ko equal body naman po si Secretary sino nga po? Manny Bonoan during that time. Si Secretary Manny Bonoan. We respect po kung anong ginagawa nila as ko equal body. But yes, with what's happening now, moving forward po, tama po yan. We are already assigned our team po. Hopefully within the year po, first, sa budget call pa lang namin for next year, we will already introduce safeguards for this purpose, especially for DPWH. Ihiwalay na po namin siya. May special book na po. Budget call siya, circular guidelines on how they will submit their projects po. At kung kinakailangan, ito po nasabi ko na kay Secretary Vince po, kung kinakailangan na lahat po ito talaga, so kailangan po nila ng mahabang oras, lahat po ng isasubmit nila ay merong coordination mula sa baba, ng LGUs, yung kanina po, bottom up, and lahat po ay may corresponding program of works and detailed engineering design. Same way kung paano po natin pondohan ang ating mga foreign assisted projects, and may timeline din po na nakasulat dyan. Pangalawa po, from our end, we are already expanding our digitalization efforts. Kailangan lang po namin, meron na po kaming AI, kailangan lang po namin sigurong i-expand pa yung gamit ng AI namin. Nasubukan na po namin itong couple of days if we can actually check yung mga mafa-flag po, yung mga double or sa names po ng mga projects. We will do that po. Actually, may initial reports na rin kami. We will give it to Secretary Vince. And then also between us siguro, we will also, yung sinasabi po ni Senator Marcoleta po, no, yung maybe there's also problem in the nomenclature nung pagpangalan nila ng mga projects. So we need to sit down kasi may corresponding UX po yan na code pag nirelease po yung pag nirelease po sa GAA. So we'll have to sit down, mahabang technical working group, and change the nomenclature, yung specific, hindi pwedeng flood control mitigation lang. So ano ba yung flood control mitigation? Yun po. And then another po is, yun po, sa releases din po ng NCA. In fact, if I may share, because of what's happening now, may request po ang DPWH namin na NCA. 2 weeks ago, we did not release the NCA that they requested. Humihingi po kami sa kanila na undertaking that all these projects are not ghost projects. Bago po kami maglabas. A circular is on the way now for my signature, and then we will give it to all. Hindi lang po DPWH, sa lahat po ng ahensya, bago po kayo humingi ng cash, make sure po na may undertaking kayo that all your projects are totoong complete, totoo, at walang ghost po. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
It's not just ghost but also substandard. Maybe meron dyan mga hindi tinapos.
Yun din po, opo.
Tapos
Opo.
sinasabi complete. Maaring hindi ghost, pero hindi tinapos. Inabandona for whatever reason, right?
Ang sabi po ni Secretary Vince sa akin, yung ghost madali po kasi kaagad makita, pero yung substandard, medyo mas mahabang proseso po. Like sa opo, mas mahabang proseso po to
Iba pa ho yung ghost, iba pa yung substandard.
and not
natapos
completed.
pero substandard, iba pa yung not completed
Tama
or
po.
abandoned, right?
Tama po, Madam Chair. Yes po.
And that exists all
Opo.
over. It happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So, how are we assured, Mr. Chair, that the budget that will come back to us would have been vetted already, since, as you candidly admitted, DBM does not have the technical expertise with engineers and planners, and we perfectly understand that because your mandate is appropriations, finding the money, programmed, unprogrammed. Then suddenly, with this eruption in our country, there's a need to have a closer look. But if you do not have the technical and engineering expertise, in 2 weeks, when the budget is returned to Congress and to us, how are we assured that what we are approving will actually would have been vetted?
Umupo na po kami ni Secretary Vince, and then we've already provided the issues, and kasalukuyan po, siya po, kasama po ng kanyang mga bagong liderato sa DPWH are really working on it line by line yung ibabalik po na budget ng DPWH.
We'll leave it at that, Mr. Chair. Just one last question. Well, I have 5 more minutes. So, I'd like to talk about reported indicators, let's say timeline of approvals, the percentage of budget documents released. When we talk about this, does it actually translate into actual improvements in budget credibility, fiscal discipline, and service delivery? Are there mechanisms to validate outcomes beyond reporting compliance percentages? What I mean is, we have the release of policies, budget submissions, timelines yon. So maganda, fully compliant. But how do we measure in terms of reduced underspending, the absorptive capacity of an agency, stronger fiscal discipline? So when DBM reports 100% achievement in targets, such as documentation was submitted, what kind of evaluation do you actually do to ensure that these outputs produced measurable impact? Hindi lang na-meet yung deadline, diba? And this impact, measurable impact, let's say, which includes LGU coordination and compliance, stronger procurement efficiency, improved budget utilization, and absorptive capacity. So in short, not just meeting deadlines and completion of documents, but actual improved absorptive capacity of the agency, LGU compliance. So it's not just a matter of meeting deadlines, but actual efficiency on the part of the agency. How is this measured? I want to understand the processes of DBM. Thank you.
Sa DBM po, we have the agency performance review. What we look at is, ito, very standard, is the utilization rate of the agencies. So they submit yung kanilang data on absorptive capacity, and then the disbursement rates. Moving forward, we want to dig into deeper po dun sa specific programs and projects nila with key indicators and outputs po. Kasi sa budget po, meron na po sila mga outputs, but sila po kasi yung naglalagay ng mga outputs nila yung mga indicators nila. So they can also easily meet their targets. Kasi sila na rin po talaga nag-set ng target nila, so madali lang sa kanila to actually achieve their targets. Ang ginawa po namin ditong mas expanded mechanism is that yung coordination po namin with the DepDev. Meron po kaming monitoring and evaluation policy framework po, wherein the DepDev will identify, sisimulan po muna natin sa mga big ticket programs and projects, and then they will study po all the programs and projects, whether they are still relevant, whether they're still efficient or relevant or responsive doon sa needs ng mga nangangailangan. So nagsimula na po yung NEDA dyan, and at the proper time po they will submit their study. Meaning, for example po, SSF na lang po. So they will get all the data from DTI, and then they will get a third-party group to study. Siguro, matagal na po naman yung SSF na yan. I was still in the Senate, nandiyan na yung SSF na yan. So the study will show whether it is still needed, whether it is effective in increasing the performance of our small and medium businesses in the country. Ganun po. Yun po yung magiging bagong system namin together with DepDev po. We will study each and every program. But we will start po dun sa mga malalaking mga funded na mga programs.
Thank you for that. I have a very candid question. I want a very honest answer.
Meron pa po,
Yes.
yung other efficiency measures, nakasama po siya doon sa PBB ng national government agencies, yung performance-based bonus. But as of now po, we are still reviewing it together with the technical working group. Doon din po, pwede rin po natin ma-identify yung mga indicators ng mga agencies, whether they meet their targets, Madam Chair.
Agree naman yung chair na tatanungin ko to. Usapang nagtitipid. Ayan, pareho kaming matipid eh. Sa lahat ng mga exposés, sabi mo na meron daw 10%, 20%. Pero ang output dapat yon. Can you actually reduce spending and maximize the monies available, our resources, because we have, so more projects will be covered if you reduce the cost of every project para wala silang makukuhanan na panglagay nila, whatever they call it. If we are to believe all of the reports, because sabi mo na itong folder na ito, it costs 10 pesos, but the reports say na meron daw 10 or 20%. Hindi. I-cut natin ang cost ng bawat project, pero dapat matapos pa rin yan sa 8 pesos, ha? So yung 2 pesos na nitapid mo dyan, kasi walang pagkukuhanan na dapat sa alleged corruption, mag-save ka ng 2 pesos everywhere, dadami ang pera mo para sa mas mahalagang proyekto. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It so
makes
reduced,
sense.
Reduced spending with the same amount of money we have with the ceiling of our national budget, but more projects. Hopefully, you skin the fat, take out the alleged corruption. I'm just being careful, alleged, but the same output, but not standard projects if we are strict in the oversight and the monitoring. Di mas maraming paggagamitan ng pera.
May I give a specific example?
Ayan, agree pala si Chairman.
Sabi nung isang contractor kahapon, paano ka naman kumikita pa dyan at ang dami palang humihingi sa'yo? So makukompromiso talaga yung quality ng project. Sir, maganda po kasi yung bid price eh. So tinataas nila talaga Kaya doon nila kinukuha. Tama yung point ni Senator Ligada. Ibaba mo na para wala silang mapagkukunan. Inamin kahapon eh. Dahil hindi magtutugma eh. Merong kumukuha raw ng 10%, may 25%, maliban pa doon sa napakaraming porsyento. Inamin nila, ang natitira sa project, 43% na lang. Sabi ko, di malinaw dito, compromise na yung project. Hindi po kasi makapal po yung pinanggalingan, mataas po yung bid price. So siguro nga, ganun na nangyari. Kaya kumikita pa siya between 10 to 15% na net profit. So ibaba na ninyo. Tama si Senator Ligada. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Pag-usapan din po namin ni Secretary Vince Dizon yan, kailangan po nila i-review yung standard costing po nila, yung per kilometer, per ganun po. Yung may mga ganun eh. Kung per every kilometer ng road, piso, siguro baka dapat 0.50 lang. Yun po yung mga pag-aaralan nila. So we also heard already, Secretary Vince, that maybe itong isasubmit po naming bagong budget ngayon is sabi po niya 40% lower yun sa DPWH.
Maybe that would also apply to DepEd sa classrooms, di ba? Kasi yung meeting natin dito, was it your committee also? Yes. Ang mura pag private sector.
Sa classrooms
the same
po.
thing.
Mas
Classrooms
marami.
din. Pag DPWH ang nag-i-implement, mas mahal. Magkano? 30 plus per square meter. Yung iba, 20,000 per square meter. So we should have the benchmark. Alam natin. With the same output. Hindi dadayain na substandard ang effect. Yeah.
Same po from DepEd because I know that yung DepEd now, parang sila na yata ang magpapabid, hindi na DPWH. So maybe they should have their own standard costing for their classrooms and school buildings.
So perhaps just to prepare the agencies, both for DA and for DPWH, so we understand the standard cost, pinakatipid na cost to build the road with the same width, depth, materials, and DA FMRs as well so that we understand it. Because to build, let's say, DepEd classrooms, medyo alam na namin per square meter, but yung roads para maintindihan namin. At maganda yung balita na sinasabi niyong 40% lower ang cost, which means DPWH can have more projects at less cost with the same quality.
Yes, ma'am. If same amount, mas marami. Kung 20,000 projects yan, pag binabaan mo, tapos same amount pa rin po, ibabalik mo sa DPWH, there will be 40,000 projects.
Exactly.
Pero if hindi po tayo faithful doon, pwedeng bawasan, yung sinabi po ni Secretary Vince, ibabawasan daw po niya ng by 40% yung level ng DPWH.
And the same goes with classrooms. Kung yun
yes
ang
po.
budget ng classrooms, ito yung shortfall, pero dahil mahal ang costing ng DPWH compared to private sector, ibaba nila. So that means we will have more budget for classrooms. I will end there. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chair. Okay, you are in good hands with our chair. Thank you.
Thank you to our former chairperson of the Committee on Finance. I have some questions, Secretary Mina. Pag titignan natin yung budget ng DBM, compared to the other departments, it's only 3.5 billion. No? So, relative to the other departments, it's not that substantial. But if you look at the funds that it manages, okay, labas slide 44. It manages close to about 800 billion in terms of funds, 857 in terms of funds. Yung program funds, and then yung mga components of the different program funds and the unprogrammed funds. Pag inipon natin to, this is about 857 billion. Hindi pa kasama dito yung LGSF, in Local Government Support Fund. So that's why I called DBM a gatekeeper, no? Because itong mga pondo na ito, hindi lalabas to kung walang signature ni Secretary Mina Pangandaman, no? That's why DBM is one of the most important departments because it's a gatekeeper of not only of the funds and the budget of the different departments, but also these special program funds. So I'll focus on this, no, because this is a very important, because you're talking about almost 857 billion.
Mr. Chair, but a portion of that is automatically appropriated
Yes.
po. So
Correct.
may batas pong that we
Yeah.
have to release it, Mr. Chair.
Dito sa program and unprogram, meron bang automatic dyan? Wala. Diba? All of these are managed by DBM. Correct. That's why hindi ko sinabi yung ALCO
Opo,
in allocation
yung-
to local government because
Yung sa
yung
mga
NTA,
NPAs and all of
yes,
that po.
this is
kasama
only
sa
program
mga-
and unprogram.
Opo.
no? So, I'll go to the unprogrammed. I'll focus on that program first. In the DBCC hearing, I remember that Secretary Recto mentioned that pag ginastos yung unprogrammed, dapat hindi gagastos sa program. So meaning is the computation of the deficit, kasama ba dyan ang program funds?
Yung mga foreign assisted projects ang po.
Foreign assisted projects?
Opo.
I'll flash
Ang
it.
may effect.
Okay, flash yung PowerPoint ng DBM on the unprogrammed. I think this is slide unprogrammed appropriations. Can we flash that, ComSec? Second to the last slide. Okay, flash ComSec. DBM presentation. Unprogrammed appropriations 2024 to 2026. Meron dito support to foreign assisted projects. Yan lang ba ang kasama sa computation ng deficit? Kasi may ang program, 'di ba? When we say program in relation to our deficit, computed na lahat ng program expenses to get the deficit, correct?
Total level po ng budget, yung 6.7
Minus program.
minus yung program,
Equals deficit or
yung
surplus.
deficit po, opo.
Okay.
Oo.
In ang program hindi kasali.
Hindi po, kasi yung unprogram po, mayroong standby lang siya, meron siyang, dapat po may kasamang excess revenue.
Correct.
Tapos, kaya lang po nagkakaroon ng deficit is that yung loan proceeds po. Ang loans proceed po, nakalagay doon sa provision is that hindi natin kailangan ng excess revenue.
Okay.
Bakit po? Kasi ang contention po dyan is that naibigay na nung creditor natin yung pondo, yung counterpart po nila
Okay.
doon sa budget.
So in other words, pag ginastos natin itong mga unprogrammed, can we flash that, ComSec? Itong 200, theoretically, itong 249 billion, pag ginastos natin yan, tataas ang ating deficit. Well, I'll flash it. Pag ginastos yung buong unprogrammed, 249.
Hindi naman po lahat. Yung lang po.
Hindi,
yung-
theoretically, pag ginastos natin buo yan,
pag lahat. Yung covered po ng may additional revenue, excess revenue, hindi considered deficit
Correct.
kasi may katapat po.
pero lahat naman to,
Pero
theoretically, may covered to ng revenue. Theoretically, theoretically.
Hindi po,
diba?
wala po. Standby po ito eh. Marirelease lang
Yes.
po ito pag
Kaya-
nagbigay ang Bureau of Treasury
Yes.
ng certification.
Assuming,
Kung wala po silang ibigay,
assuming, yung...
deficit po yan.
Assuming, jackpot tayo next year, may bago tayong new source of tax revenue, meron tayong excess of tax and non-tax revenue, mako-cover natin to lahat. Will it go beyond our deficit?
no.
No, correct. Kasi may banggaan, di ba?
Apo, may kabangga po.
Yes, sige. I want to make sure lang kasi yung statement na pag gumastos ng unprogrammed, dapat magawa sa program. No? So gusto ko lang gusto ko lang ma-clarify that kasi may kabangga yung unprogrammed na revenue eh. Diba?
Basta may bangga po,
Correct.
Wala
Hindi
pong-
tataas ang deficit.
wala, opo.
Okay, sige. So we'll go to this program kasi malaki yung allocation natin. There, yung isa sa pinakamalaking allocation natin dito ay yung sagip. How do we choose the projects in sagip? Ano ang yeah,
may
go ahead.
erase lang po ako dito sa unprogrammed appropriations. If the committee, while they're looking at it, if the committee will allow us, because there's a provision here for health emergency allowance that we've
Yes.
placed in the NEP, but nagkaroon po tayo ng extra revenue from the BTR. And then there's a request already from DOH, so we already released this po. So we will request po that this will be deleted po in your report po,
Okay.
if okay lang po,
That will
Mr.
be
Chair.
an executive amendment, I would assume.
Opo, kasi wala na po, hindi naman po maganda na nandiyan pa siya, tapos nabayaran na po siya. Yung
Okay.
6.7 billion po for the health emergency allowances, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's good. At least nabayaran na yung ating mga
Yes po, wala na po
health
tayong
workers.
utang for our
Okay.
health workers, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ito yung kaninang question ni I think it was Senator Legarda. Slide 31, Carla. We saw kasi in the movement of the unprogrammed, for 2023, if you compare the NEP to the unprogrammed, ang laki ng tinaas. No? Diba? 2023, at 600 level, ang NEP, pero ang nag-ending tayo almost around 800 level, no? Which is the red bar. 2024, at 300 level, nag-end up tayo almost close to about 700 level, no? 2025 ganyan rin, ang level is about 100. Tama ba, Asek Vega? Sa 2025 150 level, tapos we ended up at around almost 400. But yes, can you
Yes, basically for 2025, we started at 158.6 billion. And then the GA was actually at 563, but then we vetoed some items.
Yes.
So now it's down to 363
Okay, so for the last 3 years, ang unprogrammed natin is going beyond the program, no? At least the last 4 years at 2022, but in the last 3 years was the jump was significant. Now, if you look at the change from NEP to GAA, 2024 is 150%, 2025 is 129%. No? So, and if you go to the individual programs, pakibalik COMSEC kanina, ang pinakamalaki yung this item called SAGIP, Strengthen Assistance for Government Infrastructure and Social Programs. I understand that this is distributed to different agencies. No? Ano ba ang concept nitong SAGIP? And are the distribution to agencies nasa loob ba yan ng budget? Go ahead, anyone can answer.
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the SAGIP, or the Strengthening Assistance for Government Infra and Social Programs, it's supposed to cover or support the infra programs as well as social programs of the different agencies. This is not limited to construction or restoration or improvement of roads, bridges, farm-to-market roads, buildings, as well as flood control projects. Also electrification projects, as well as agri-related programs and activities. And it also includes the financial assistance to indigent individuals and families. So it's basically the different agencies which are mandated to deliver those services can access the SAGIP. But we can only trigger the release if there is a supporting excess revenue.
So, in other words, the different agencies can access these funds. And at one point, do they determine what type of projects can they propose? Because unlike in the program, nakasulat na lahat doon, di ba? Naka-line item na. No? So sa unprogrammed, I understand this sa GIP, walang line program, tama ba? Walang line item.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Wala siyang line items, but we look at the regular na nakaprogram doon sa agency. Like, for example, the Department of Agriculture, medyo nabawasan siya, yung sa kanya 2025. And then when they were looking at their original proposal and the original targets needed for 2025, talagang hindi maa-achieve yung kanilang kinumit that they should be able to deliver. So, nag-access na siya sa GIP. We also have for example, 2025, we also have the DepEd, wherein the computerization program of DepEd was also significantly reduced. And then, when they were looking at their services that should be given to the different schools, kulang siya. That's why, when we were able to get the excess revenue certification from BTR, it was at least prioritize the requirement, that additional requirement, yung basically the deficiency in order to cover yung regular sana nila na program that should have stayed in the regular budget of the agency.
Yeah, but yung mga infra, like for example, I saw here in the distribution, meron mga sa DOH, ano ba ito? Yan, sa DOH, DILG, DND, ito ba dapat, yung mga programs na pwede nilang ma-access sa GIP, dapat nasa regular programs?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So it's a continuing program?
Yes.
And
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Continue in the sense na it's nasa loob siya ng regular programs niya?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Hindi pwedeng bago?
Hindi pwedeng...
Let's say, bagong infrastructure or bagong may naisip sila na may bagong tulay.
It should be attributed to an existing PAP because we could not augment something that is not existing
If it's existing PAP, di ba meron na siyang corresponding budget for that PAP in the program?
Yung kulang lang, sir. Yung existing talaga siya na PAP. But if it's a new, it would take the definition na item of appropriation. Kung wala siya doon sa PAP, hindi siya pwedeng i-augment coming from the UA.
Okay, so what's the definition of paano ito? Continuation or excess or bakit siya nag-request? Yun ang tanong ko.
Deficiency from
Deficiency.
its... Yes.
So, ibig sabihin, may isang proyekto, kulang yung kanyang amount.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Dadagdagan niya.
Yes, Mr.
Pwede
Chair.
siya mag-access dito sa GIP.
Sa GIP. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Alright. And because yung sa GIP, right now is about 80 billion pesos. So any of the agencies can request.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for as long as they are falling under the definition of infra and social programs.
Okay, okay. What's the distribution nung 2024? Nung sa GIP? Saan pumunta yung 2024? Kasi there is kanina na pakita natin, there's a,
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may, for 2024,
Sige.
the program was at 731.4 for the whole and program appropriation. For SAGIP, it was 225.37 billion, out of which we were able to release an amount of 200.02 billion. That's for Sagip alone.
What's the distribution of that 200 billion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the 200.03 billion released under Sagip for 2024, 17 billion went to DA in order to cover the funding requirements for the rice farmers financial assistance. And then for the NEDA, specifically for PSA, it covers the requirement for the implementation of the 2024 Census of Population and Community-Based Monitoring System. That's at 3.6 billion. For DPWH, it got 155.8 billion to cover various projects. We have a listing actually, sir, but we can also provide you the specific listing of these projects. For DSWD, it's 16.8 billion to cover the IX, or the assistance to individuals in crisis situations. We also have requirement for the food stamp program, and basically it's for IX. GOCC, the PRA, was given also for the PIEC project at 6 billion. That's it, Mr. Chair.
I'm looking at the historical allocation of Sagip. I-flash lang namin. For 2020, it's 10 billion. For 2021, GA to 9 billion. For 2022, 13 billion. And then lumaki na siya for 2023, 15 billion. In 2024 is 224 billion. And 2026 proposed is 160 billion. No? So can you flash yung para lang masundan? We'll just flash the graph. No, may graph kami. Like itong, can we flash it? Sige, while we're waiting for that, no, kanina na-mention nyo, ASEC, na even in 2024, DPWH received 155 billion in Sagip.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And what's the reason for this? So meaning, kulang yung kanilang existing na project? Kaya
Yes,
nag-request pa sila sa Sagip ng 155 billion?
Basically, Mr. Chair, it refers to the PAPs which were actually reduced by Congress.
Ito, I'll just show for a while. No? In Sagip kasi over the years, lumaki rin eh. No? So, correspondingly, lumaki kanina yung unprogrammed appropriations. Yan, in Sagip JA, nag-umpisa tayo in 2020, 10 billion. In 2021, 9 billion. In 2022 is 13 billion. In 2023 is 50 billion. Because 2024 is 225. In 2025 is 160 billion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Asan na yun? Asan na yun? Asan na yun? 50.
So what was the reason why Sagip all of a sudden jumped in 2024?
Mr. Chair, for the PWH releases, first on the 155.8 billion, it covers the operation of weighbridge stations, as well as operations of the PWH floating equipment, and we have a listing, the Annex A, basically various smaller projects, and then we also have this one. Yeah. Implementation of various priority projects which are disaster related. And we also have some projects supporting the 8-point socioeconomic agenda. So there are annexes, medyo marami siya source, but we can just submit the details.
Ang tanong ko, bakit in 2024, in 2025, lumaki siya? 2024, naging 225 billion. In 2026, 160 billion. And these are unprogrammed funds.
Yes,
No?
Mr. Chair.
So, bakit siya biglang lumaki? In fact, I'll show you a... wala lang si Secretary, but I'll show you a... and pala Secretary. Slide 32, Carla, that in 2024, and ang program funds, 2023, ang program funds natin to total expenditure is 15%, 2024 is 12%, which is the benchmark for a prudent approach to a program fund is 5%. No, diba? So, in other words, by 2023, 2024, even 2025, lumampas na siya ng 5%. No? What is the reason bakit lumaki siya 2023, 2024, and 2025? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's the amendments introduced.
Yeah, I showed that kanina sa...
Yes, Mr. Chair. Basically, what happened for DPWH is that some of its, during the amendments, during the budget authorization, some of the core programs of the DPWH were reduced in favor of other, how do we say it? In favor of other programs or projects within the DPWH. And those reduced items under the core mandate programs of DPWH were basically transferred, moved to the UA.
Okay. So, some of the core programs were moved to the unprogrammed under the SAGIP.
SAGIP, yes, Mr. Chair.
So, in other words, even prior to enacting the bill, meron ng, at least for DPWH, meron na silang, alam na nila kung ano yung gagawin. May mga projects na sila na nakalista. Because from program, transfer to unprogrammed.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Basically, when they request for the augmentation of their regular budget, they already know that those are the items which were reduced and transferred to the UA.
Okay, because I also took a look at your, ito binigay lang sa akin actually late na, no? We requested from you. We gave it, we received it late na. Kanina sinabi nyo for 2024, 155 billion was released to DPWH. So we took a look at that. Ito. No? So ito yung mga na-release doon sa 155. Office of DPWH, no, iba-ibang amounts, all in billions. And if you drill down to the projects, meron ring mga flood control projects under SAGIP. Next slide. So in other words, ito, yan, no, mga flood control projects. Yan. Let me just read some. Construction of flood control structure at Barangay Silangan, Quezon City. This is slide 61. construction of slide 61. Construction of embankment along Likap Boulevard, Barangay Likap, Aliminos, Pangasinan. Construction of Abitonan flood control structure in Aurora. Tapos iba-iba na eh. Mayroong construction of flood control structure along Maasin River, San Ildefonso, Bulacan. So, ang punto ko, meron ng flood control projects in the program, which almost 270 plus billion. Tapos on top of the program, meron pang unprogrammed na flood control. So we're not only looking at a universe of 270, we're looking at a universe of 270 plus 155. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So that we're talking about a...
The 155, sir, also went to roads, bridges, multipurpose buildings and facilities, and water systems.
But there are flood control, no?
Yes,
Hindi
there
ko lang
are flood control. Yes,
Magkano yung flood control do you have? Under that 155? Yung flood control lang.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, of the 155.8 billion, 85.7 billion went to flood control.
Magkano?
85.7 billion.
85 billion went to flood control. So 270 plus 85 is 335 billion for 2024 in terms of flood control appropriations.
Yes, Mr.
Tama?
Chair. Released.
Release. So that's the universe. That's why kasi pag tinitingnan natin sa GA, yung program, nakikita lang natin yung 270.
Yes.
No? Pero meron pa palang dito under sagip.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And this is where I think we should do some reforms because nakakarga siya ngayon sa unprogram pero nare-release rin siya. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Basically, yung mga deficiencies from their core programs na nagkukulang, and of course, we still have to wait for the certification ng excess revenue.
Yeah, but this gets ang infrastructure gets priority, tama?
No, Mr. Chair.
Which gets priority? Social services.
It's first the PS, personal services
Okay.
requirements, and then the peso counterpart
Okay.
of the foreign assisted projects, and then the social programs, and then
Infra.
the
So
infra.
pang-apat siya.
Yes, Mr.
Nevertheless, in 2024, na-release siya.
Chair. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Correct. Now my question is, in 2025, meron ring sagip. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And meron bang flood control na na-release in 2025?
For 2025, Mr. Chair, the release made were for the DepEd, the computerization program of DepEd, as well as the DA, the RISE program at 8.8 billion. We also have a coming release just recently, September, for the DOH HEA, health emergency, and then we were able to release also around 9 billion for the GOP counterpart of DOTR.
Meron bang request for flood control for
None, Mr.
2025? So I guess we should be very cautious not to release anything while we are investigating this issue.
Yes, Mr.
Kasi noong 2024, we released 85 billion. Baka lang mag-request na naman. We still have an ongoing investigation, and we have to be very cautious, Secretary, not to further fund the corruption. Kasi right now, by releasing it, we're funding the corruption. So we have to be very careful with that. So
Yes,
that's-
Mr. Chair.
yeah. I'll go to another topic. Ito binuksan ni Senator Bato on the pension and gratuity fund, no, will also flash a slide that we also saw in the, ano ba tayo na? Yan. That traditionally, kung ang unprogrammed, traditionally or over the past few years tumataas, ang pension and gratuity naman bumababa, no? Reverse yung inverse relationship sila. Siguro dito kinukuha yung ibang pondo. But I heard Yusek Abuel earlier appeal, no? Not to touch it because meron talagang masasakripisyo, no? I believe that the PGF was computed by DBM very carefully in order to be fair to those who will retire. Fairness to nagtrabaho sila sa gobyerno, magre-retire sila, bibigyan natin sila ng retirement pay, no? Dito kinukuha yon. This is just a matter of fairness, di ba? May mga magre-retire ba dito? May narinig ako. Oo. Imbis na pipigilan natin, hindi naman sila pwede magtrabaho hanggang 80 years old. Diba? Bawal sa gobyerno yon. So dito kukunin yung mga pang-retirement pay ng lahat magre-retire. Whether optional or mandated, dito kukunin. But ngayon, if you look at in 2024 from NEP to GAA, it was reduced by 43%. No? Ganong kalaki. In 2025, it was reduced by 37%. No? So nagiging punching bag siya, no? ng I guess ng Congress, no? Kasi dito nagbabawas. Ngayon, I just want to put on record, kung nagbabawas to, mayroon rin tayong taong hindi binabayaran, di ba? Ilan yung taong anong aging ng mga hindi natin nababayaran? Ilan ang mga taong hindi natin nababayaran at magkano na ang utang ng gobyerno in terms of pension and gratuity? No? Nakita ko kasi sa data namin sa uniform personnel, hindi ganun kalaki ang bawas Ang nababawasan is civilian, no? Which is yung mga tayo, no? So magkano ang ano ang aging ng PGF in terms of lahat na, whether civilian or ano. Magkano ang because nabawasan siya So meron tayong utang, di ba? Hindi natin magkano yung utang natin, ilan ang hindi natin nababayaran?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you're correct na may naapektuhan. But looking at the request that we get, usually mga 2 years, as stated earlier, yung mga optional, yung affected talaga. The mandatories kasi talagang given, they should be paid first. For the optional, nakikita namin through the request that they submit to us, mga may 2 years na lag time.
But whether optional or mandatory, retiring is retiring Ibang optional,
Yes,
baka may
Mr.
sakit, diba nag-optional dahil hindi na kaya ng katawan nila, lalo ng mga teachers, no? Marami sa atin nag-optional dahil hindi na kaya ng katawan. So, ang utang natin ngayon to them is about 2 years ang hindi nababayaran?
Based, Mr. Chair, on the request that we get, other agencies talagang may mga 2 years na lag time. That's the longest na lag time for the optional retirees. But the remedy that we take actually is that yung UA, yun yung nakakatulong. Because there's a purpose there covering the personal services requirements, and one of those that we can charge against that item is the requirement ng mga retirement gratuity, pension, as well as terminal leave benefits.
Yeah. Pero ako again, no, even optional siya, we owe it to them
Yes, Mr. Chair. That's
And
why
utang ng gobyerno yan for their service. Diba? That's their retirement pay. So,
yes, Mr. Chair. That's why we are appealing.
hindi naman natin nakokonsensya ako, nagtrabaho sila kahaba-haba sa gobyerno, pero hindi natin binabayaran yung kanilang retirement pay. No? How much is that 2 years, cumulatively?
Sir, based on actual releases, like for example, we have data since 2022 when the unprogrammed appropriation was actually already adjusted. For payment of personal benefits, na chinarge po sa unprogrammed appropriation, 12 billion po yung
Yung payables, in 2 years na yun, magkano yun?
we don't have actually a...
Roughly lang, magkano? Ang aging natin, 2 years, pero magkano yung 2 years?
Siguro sir, mga it's between 8...
More or less lang.
Yes, more or less mga ganyan sir, mga 8 billion.
So 8 billion.
8 to 10 billion, Mr. Chair.
So,
that's including already the requirement also for the MUP. Kasi yun po yung malaki.
MUP. But
Yes,
based on the slide that I saw, in MUP naman maliit lang yung kanyang decrease, no? Because of course military uniform military personnel yan. Nakita ko ang malaki civilian eh. So in other words, if you allocate 8 billion, we can already wipe out the arrears of government to our retirees.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I think that should be the target, Secretary. Kawawa naman. Anong majority niyan? Anong klaseng civil servants?
The retirees that we get actually na malalaki are from the DepEd, from the
Teachers.
DOH, and then the MUPs.
Half of our civil servants are teachers. Eh.
Yes,
Correct?
Mr. Chair.
Out of the 2 million civil servants, almost 800. Sabihin na natin 1 million are
1
teachers. So I would assume yung mga nadidelay yung optional retirement are teachers. Majority,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
at least half.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
I would-
Those three big departments, the retirees usually come from DepEd, DOH, the MUP agencies, and sumusunod na rin dun, sir, yung DNR and the DA. So yun po yung malalaki ang requirements sa retirement and terminal leave.
So, Secretary Mina and ASEC De Vega, we owe it to our teachers and we owe it to all the civil servants. Marami sa kanila worked 20, 30 years, napagod na, nag-optional retirement. Let's put our government in order by rewarding them with their retirement pay. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's why the proposed provision under PGF of 144 something billion is sufficient because we
That's
have...
my question. That's my next question. In 2026 ba will cover?
Yes,
will-
Mr.
will
Chair.
Put that, gagawin nating updated. Ma-update na sila.
Yun na po yun, sir.
Yun na yun.
Yes, sir.
So wala na tayong arrears.
Yes.
Okay.
Wag lang po siyang bawasan,
Kaya
sir.
si Yusek Janet kanina very emphatic nung sabi niya wag bawasan because tao yan eh. No? Tao yan. Wag tanggalin na lang natin yung flood control. 'Di ba? Tanggalin na natin yung flood control. Nakikinabang lang yung mga DPWH, bigay natin sa mga teachers. No? To Yusek Torres, I'll continue yung topic ni Senator Bato. I heard earlier that you mentioned there are 808 barangays. Yeah, go ahead.
For 2026, Mr. Chair.
How did you come up with these 808 barangays?
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, the selection of barangay beneficiaries of the BDP is a long process. It starts with basically the BDP barangay should have been an influenced barangay in the past. So the the first step in the process is the clearing of that particular barangay through the community support program of our security sector together with the local chief executives. When we say clearing, it has to dismantle the political and military organization of the terrorist group in that barangay. That's one. And then yung mass bases nila must be redirected to instead support the government's effort. Third is the establishment of integrated territorial defense system, meaning yung pong both civilian and uniformed people in the community are helping each other to see to it that recovery efforts of the terrorists would not prosper. And also, through the help of the DILG, the barangay-based institutions are capacitated to be able to facilitate the delivery of basic services. Only when those parameters are attained, Mr. Chair, can a particular barangay be declared as cleared. And it is not unilateral to the security sector because the mayors at the evaluation level are included in the team that declares a particular barangay to be cleared. At hindi po doon natatapos yon. Even at the regional level, provincial level, the validation team for the clearing is chaired by the governor himself, and then the deputy division commander, assistant division commander of the military in the area, together with the PNP and the barangay captains are involved in the declaration of clearing. So that is just the first step in clearing a particular barangay. So once that barangay is cleared, and since, if I may forward the discussion a bit, sir, a total of 9,336 barangays were cleared from the start. And most of those 9,336 barangays were cleared during the time of the life of the NTF LCAC, and that is from December 2018. So going back, sir, the clearing does not, the declaration of a cleared barangay does not stop there. So ang nangyayari po, sir, at the area command, meron din pong endorsement for submission to the Armed Forces of the Philippines that indeed a particular barangay is cleared. So once that is done already by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, it is submitted to the National Secretariat of the NTF LCAC for further validation, multi-agency validation together with the DILG, yung pong mga cleared barangays. Now, when submitted, the DILG will now initiate the RCSP, or Retooled Community Support Program. That is a multi-agency team that goes back down to the barangay to help the barangay craft their POPs, or Peace and Order Plan, and the Barangay Development Plan, to which they identify the specific project that is needed by the barangay for submission to the DBM as a project to be implemented. So in the 808 barangay, Mr. Chair, that is listed there, similar to the more than 3,000 barangays that benefited from the BDP already since 2021. If you go down to a barangay, you can see those 5 projects in different combinations. Like for instance, Barangay A may just spend the whole allocation for farm to market road, while Barangay B will use it for 2 projects, like school building and electrification. Or it may also have 3 projects, electrification, water system, and school building, as long as the budget ceiling that is allocated for that particular barangay are expended. So it is very crucial that, at the start of 2021, when the BDP program was first implemented, Mr. Chair, the allocated amount per barangay was 20 million pesos for the 822 barangays. That was in 2021. And then in 2022, it went down to 4 million per barangay. In 2023, it it went up a bit to 6.606 million per barangay. And then last year, what was approved was 2.5 million. However, as I mentioned earlier, it was augmented, I think coming from UA, unprogrammed appropriation. That's why there was an addition of 5 million for the BDP barangay, bringing up to 7.5 million for BDP barangay in the 780 barangay last year. So this year, sir, we are again submitting 10 million allocation per barangay for the 808 barangays, so that these barangays would benefit more in our BDP program.
I saw, Yusek, I saw data that 2024, 864 barangays, cleared barangays, 20 per NEP, 2025, 780, and then for 2026 is 808 ang requested. So my common sense is dictating that dapat pababa siya, di ba? I mean, the goal is to have, I'm sure this is aspirational, 100% cleared barangays, So that's the aspiration. So my question is, how come parang it's just fluctuating between 780 to 800? Diba? The goal is to have a drastic reduction in terms of cleared barangays, and hopefully economic development will come in and naturally make that barangay peaceful or not attractive to for the community to go into this type of terrorism activities. Diba? So yan ang goal natin. But based on the data, parang napako siya.
Mr. Chair, those before it is submitted to be a beneficiary as a BDP barangay, RCSP has to be conducted in that barangay. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is a total of 9,336 barangays, cleared barangays all over the country.
Starting what year?
Starting 2021, Mr. Chair.
2021.
And as of 2025, we are now serving the 4,830th barangay. So there is a.
So we started with 9,000.
No, sir. The total number of barangay that were influenced was 9,336. So we need to deliver interventions, socioeconomic development interventions in these 9,336
so
barangay.
So natitira na lang 808?
Hindi pa po, sir. With the 800,
okay,
yes, sir.
Okay.
So progressive po yan, and we cannot submit or recommend a barangay to be a beneficiary of the BDP program unless the RCSP program of the DILG is conducted in that barangay. RCSP, again, is a multi-agency team that goes down to the barangay to validate the needs of the barangay through inspection of their peace and order plan and the barangay development plan, Mr. Chair. So ganun po yun, there's only a finite number of barangays that the DILG can conduct the RCSP in a year. Kung ano po yung kaya nilang tapusin, that is the number of barangays that we are recommending for the BDP for the ensuing year.
So ngayon, to date, how many barangays are still infested?
That's 9,336 minus 808 minus 4,830.
Kano yun? Ilan yun? Anong balance?
Exact number. That's 3,000. Hold on, sir. Compute lang po namin, sir. That's 3,698. And we intend, Mr. Chair, to in the coming years to serve these 3,698 more barangays until the end of this administration. Meaning the 3,698 barangays would eventually be recommended and broken down into 2027 BDP and BDP 2028. However, in our experience in the past, a ceiling of 10 billion was a cap, no, for the BDP program. That's why isa pa rin yun na kino-consider natin, Mr. Chair. We wanted as many barangays as possible kasi yung urgency to deliver the socio-economic intervention is there. The earlier that we can implement the project, the better for the barangay because that is our commitment to them. However, there are some fiscal limitations and operational limitations also that we have to contend with. Kaya po nag-iiba-iba per year yung pong
Pero ang
recommendation
target natin, 3,600.
For 2027 and 2028, that would be the remaining
That's
barangays.
the remaining.
Yes,
So
yes,
in
Mr.
other
Chair.
words, that's the remaining barangays that we want to be cleared.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, in which 800 lang ang request for 2020.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Those are cleared barangays already.
Okay.
So what we are doing on the ground now is to is making sure through our PLEDS or Peace, Law Enforcement and Development Support Cluster of the NTF-ELCAC to ensure that these barangays are not recovered.
Okay.
Opo, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, ilan ang infested right now?
There's none. There's no more terrorist-influenced barangay all over the country, Mr.
So,
Chair.
right now, we can say that the whole Philippines has 0
Through the, Mr. Chair,
infested, terrorist-infested barangays?
yes, Mr. Chair. Technically, sir, we don't have any active guerrilla fronts anymore all over the country. When the NTF-ELCAC was established in December 2018, we had 89 active guerrilla fronts all over the country. We are happy to report to the public and to this august body that we have 0 active guerrilla front now because of the whole of nation participation in resolving the root causes of insurgency, Mr. Chair.
Well, congratulations.
Maraming salamat. That's a whole of nation participation, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And the 800 is just to maintain.
The 800.
The 800 is just to make sure that it will not return back to being infested.
We can say that, Mr. Chair, but it is a fulfillment of our commitment to that barangay. Because
Okay.
for long a time, these are usually far-flung areas, geographically isolated and vulnerable areas. So this is our commitment to them because when we cleared the area,
There are certain commitments.
there are certain commitments made by the military and then the multi-agency team that went down to the barangay also
Okay.
to validate their needs. So it has to be served to them because it is the commitment of the government to these barangays.
And I understand this is under LGSF because from DBM, it will go straight to the barangay.
Yes, sir. From the DBM, sir, they issued the SARO and the NCA, and then subsequently, the Bureau of Treasury will issue the NADAI directly to the implementing unit, to the municipalities or cities where the target barangay is located. And upon the issuance of the Treasury, matitrigger na po kaagad yung implementing unit na magre-register dun sa Subaybayan Portal, which is managed by the DILG, for us to ensure that every step of the way, the implementation of the project is being monitored. That is the digital monitoring, sir. Then
Okay.
there is also a multi-layer monitoring from the provincial division and even at our level. So we check not only whether the project is ghost or not. We check even the quality. So we are even taught through a seminar or training on how to inspect those 5 core projects: the cracks, the system on how the water system is being done. So all of these
the bidding
things
is
we check.
conducted by the barangay.
Yes, sir.
Sila na bahala.
No, sir. At municipal or the city level, depending on the location of the barangay.
But the funds go to the barangay or the municipality?
The municipality for the
Okay.
implementation, Mr. Chair, with
Okay.
of course, with the knowledge of the barangay captain.
Okay. Well, personally, I talked to a lot of municipal mayors and they seem to be very positive about itong projects na ito. Marami sa kanila nagsasabi sa akin na effective. Marami sa kanila nagsasabi na dapat sana ituloy, mapalawak pa. Of course, they like the projects, but more importantly, they like the peace and order in that situation.
Yes, sir.
No, in that location and the peace and order situation. No? So that's why I'm also inquiring about the basic information. Notwithstanding, the amounts are also significant, no? 8 billion. No? So that's why we're quite interested in how this program is being implemented and kung effective sila. No? But what you're saying is 100% of our 42,000 barangays are now cleared, no? With terrorists. So, sige, pag-ikot ko, tatanungin ko yung mga mayors.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, if I may just add a piece of information for your region, sir, and for your region, there will be 51 BDP barangay beneficiaries for this incoming year, 2026.
NCR? You mean I'm from NCR, ah?
Valenzuela, Bulacan po pala, sir. Region 3, I'm referring to...
Wala no, Metro Manila na kami, Yusek. No? Valenzuela is part of NCR now.
Yes, sir. There is a concept...
Dati Bulacan, you're right.
Yes, sir, sa Bulacan, sir. Bulacan has seven BDP barangays, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Just an added information, Mr. Chair.
So that one in Bulacan, maintenance yun. Para lang hindi bumalik.
Yes, sir. Part of our commitment to make them feel that there is a government that cares, because that is a very important ingredient for us to empower or capacitate the people living in these communities to resist any agitation, propaganda, any issues that may be issued that may be used by the terrorist propagandists to entice them to join their movement, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yusek, maraming salamat. And just submit to us a progress, parang an update report or a progress report, so we can learn further. For purposes of budgeting, I just want to get the basics. But yung mga details, can you send to us?
We'll do that, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir.
Another program I want to ask anyone from DBM is the and the amounts are not significant. No? It's only about $1 billion. I'm just curious, how is it aligned to the mandate of DBM?
Mr. Chair, we just continued the program from previous administration. If you remember po, during the previous budget hearings, we have the representation of Senator Lauren Legarda and Senator Pia Cayetano that they wanted to at least somehow make our budget green and consistent or responsive to the sustainable development goals. So, yun po yung naging medium natin for that. That's why binigyan po natin ng tulong ang ating mga local government units para sa ganyang proyekto. Dahil nakikita din po namin, nakaramihan din po, kasi meron po tayong regular LGSF, yung mga hinihingi po kasi nila minsan parang yung puro basketball court, puro waiting shed, puro yung mga parang walang, hindi naman po, hindi masyado po makakatulong to our green economy and all. So, nag-carve out po kami for the Green program. This is for bike lanes, parks, for local government units.
Remember the time ni Secretary Diokno Valenzuela was a recipient, I remember.
Yes po. Until now po.
Yeah, until now.
Until now po. Meron po yung Valenzuela. Kasi po, the formula po is that yung mga areas na wala na pong enough space because puro commercial buildings, puro malls and all. So we wanted sana a place for the children, the senior citizens to congregate and siguro have fun and then makipagkwentuhan, ganun po. Yun po yung naging response namin dun sa request po ni Senator Lawrence at si Senator Pia. Thank you po.
And also another fund, and this is under the allocations to local government units. That's another fund that DBM is in charge of. In Growth Equity Fund, how does this work in Growth Equity Fund? I know these are for very poor municipalities. I'm trying to align this with maybe the NTF LCAC, although mas maliit itong pondo, it's only 1 billion pesos. But I'm trying to also figure out some maybe redundancy, overlaps in programs. So that's why I want to understand all of these different programs
Mr. Chair, this is pursuant to under Section 8 of EO number 138 series of 2021 as a result of the Garcia-Mandanas ruling po. The executive order provides for a little amount to provide for the financial assistance to identified poor, disadvantaged, and lagging local government units. Kasama po namin dito for the identification and implementation ang DILG, and then it is the DBCC who actually identified the nature of the project that we will provide, Mr. Chair.
And can you, maybe someone, secretary or the person in charge can explain to us how LGUs can act?
Previously by the DBCC, but for 2025, the guidelines will be provided or issued by the DBM, DepDev, and DOF. So, based on the 2023 Growth Equity Fund, there was an amount of 1 billion, and based on the DBCC meeting, it was provided to 70 municipalities to be able to implement a water and sanitation program. An allocation of 900 million for the 70 municipalities was distributed, and the identification of the LGUs was done by DILG. And then out of the 1 billion, there's also 100 million provided for barangays, 100 recipient barangays, to implement their local government unit project as identified in their devolution transition plan pursuant to the Mandanas-Garcia ruling.
So who are the LGUs that are qualified? Mga third, fourth?
These are low-income LGUs for the 2023 4th to 6th class LGUs.
4th to 6th class. And then they can, how's the process? They propose to...
Once they are identified, the DBM, DOF, and DepDev will issue the guidelines. And once they are, the guidelines contains or provides for the recipient LGUs. The LGUs, once they are identified, they will submit to the DBM. The DBM will release it to the recipient LGUs through the Bureau of the Treasury, and the Bureau of Treasury will notify the LGUs that they have received this amount for the particular purpose that was intended.
And I understand it's the DILG that selects the LGUs?
They identify the list of LGUs that will be beneficiaries of this program.
Okay, and then is there a menu of programs that they can access? Kasi very general siya eh. LGUs, those with fiscal gaps arising from devolution.
Yes, sir. In 2023, we've identified for the municipalities to implement a water and sanitation project. While for barangays, the guidelines provides that they can identify a program or project provided in their devolution transition plan.
So it has to be inside their devolution transition plan?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, national government is calling for devolution, but some LGUs cannot completely comply with the devolution. This is where the Growth Equity Fund will come in.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The executive recognizes that despite the Mandanas-Garcia ruling on the increase of their national tax allotment, there are low-income LGUs that could still not provide for the devolved functions and services that are being devolved to the LGUs.
Okay. Can I ask maybe the DILG, or I think we have a representative from the DILG, what's the status of the devolution to local governments? No? Because the reason why I'm asking that, because part of this hearing is the component called allocations to local government units, and maraming allocation yan. Nandyan yung NTA, Andyan yung LGSF, Growth Equity Fund, nandyan rin yung SABARM. So marami siyang components, you know. So may I ask about the status of the devolution? Yeah, anyone, Director?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, for the status of the full devolution, the President has directed the suspension of the implementation of EO 138 pending the study by DBM, DILG, DOF, and NEDA, and further directed the Committee on Devolution to undertake a continuous conduct of capacity building initiatives to the LGUs to facilitate their full utilization of their NTA while the suspension is in place, and work with Congress to pass a law on automatic income classification, which was already done, and propose amendments to the computation of the NTA and other provisions of the local government code. Meanwhile, in compliance with the presidential directive, the DBM continues to do public financial management competency program for LGUs, and we have already conducted 16 runs for the PFMCP for more than 8,800 local PFM practitioners in all of the regions in the Philippines. And for phase 2 of the PFMCP, this will be conducted this year. It aims to go beyond a regulatory compliance by deepening the appreciation of local PFM practitioners for their role in the PFM cycle.
Devolution is suspended right now.
Yes po, there will be an mandatory executive order that will be issued by the President to provide for a for the extension of the implementation of the full devolution.
Okay. I have questions on, I'll go to the DBM budget proper. And one of the, I'll jump, thank you, Director Lita. I'll go to the PSDBM, Procurement Service. We saw in the COA report there is a 7 billion receivable. Interagency receivable.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ang gagawin natin dito?
We have already,
oh,
yes,
diba?
we have issued the demand letters already.
So, these are government agencies?
Yes,
Tama?
Mr. Chair.
So, can you sue a fellow government agency? Nagawa na ba yan? Malamang di pa.
Hindi pa, hindi
Oh,
pa.
kaya lumalaki receivable ninyo. Diba?
Wala na po kaming mga bagong engagements with other government agencies, Mr. Chair. So, yung mga receivables po namin ay ongoing collection efforts na po.
But alam naman natin, if you don't sue, no one will pay you. Again, it's a basic, basic enforcement. But this is carried in your books. Anong aging na nitong 7 billion?
May matatagal na rin po, pero ongoing reconciliation po yung mga ibang accounts na matatagal, Mr. Chair.
But what's the game plan? What's the game plan? I'm sure they... is this a dispute or hindi silang nagbabayad? O halo-halo na? Oo nga,
Their expense prioritization, baka they think that nasa bottom po siya ng prioritization.
But all these LGUs, before they buy, well, actually hindi siya LGUs eh. NGAs, before they buy, obviously meron silang banggang appropriations yan, di ba? So, this is not like the private sector wherein they manage their cash flow. No? But this one, government cannot do anything without appropriation. No? That, to make sure that government fulfills its obligation later on, di ba? So, paano umabot ng ganitong 7.5 billion yung utang kung meron naman silang banggang appropriation? Unless dispute, ayaw nila bayaran dahil
Mr. Chair,
hindi kayo nag-deliver or pangit delivery ninyo.
Mr. Chair, we don't have do you have the list with you right now of the payables? Baka kasi po kasama dun yung mga ibang dapat bayaran na questionable, like yung mga issues before us, formally, yung mga laptop,
Mga
yung
laptop,
mga
alam ko ay...
ganun po. Yung po talagang baka kasi hindi mabayaran kasi may dispute pa po sa korte. Opo.
Okay, okay. Can you... Kasi itong mga... Kaya ko gusto makita yung aging. Ngayon meron pa kayo, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We will provide the committee with the listing and the aging of the accounts.
Yeah, but tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman ngayon ang PSDBM transactions, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So how do you avoid such itong ganitong nagkakaroon ng utang?
For now, Mr. Chair, we are limited to the procurement of common use supplies and equipment, no, with the exception of the ASEAN requirement, no, which the Madam Secretary has authorized us to do.
Okay. Yeah, but ano bang, what did you reform any process? Like for example, did you right now when LGUs buy, when government buys, or when NGA buys, merong advance payment, meron bang mga ganyan? My point is we're trying to clean the house also, no? Kasi itong 7 billion will be in your books for kung hindi malinis to o hindi ma-declare uncollectible or ano na ito, hindi na talaga mako-collect, it will remain in your books. So, moving forward, did you reform any of your policies to avoid such collectibles? Kasi ang theory ko, dapat ang gandahan sa gobyerno kasi bago bumibili o bago pumapasok sa contract, may pera. May appropriation at least. Baka walang cash, but may appropriation. So, that appropriation itself is an assurance that whoever supplies, whoever contracts, will get paid. Diba? So, kaya nagtataka ko bakit nagkaroon ng receivable kasi meron siyang kabanggang appropriation. Unless nga, it's a dispute. No? May court case, nasa books rin to ng NGA. No? So, but my point here is, how do you avoid such a thing to happen again? Para hindi naman kayo ang nakakawawa dahil kayo ang naniningil eh. And this will crop up every year. Every budget hearing, lalabas to. So how do you plan to clean the house and how do you avoid such a thing?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For now, we're doing procurement for common use supplies and equipment. If the clientele agency will use the e-marketplace platform or the virtual store platform, no, we require them to put up or to fund their e-wallet, no, before they can do a transaction with the procurement service. So in that way, the administrative cost that is marked up for that particular procurement is already collected, no, alongside with the payment of the cost procured.
So lahat ngayon, everyone who wants to use PSDBM will have to use the e-wallet system. So there must be a e-wallet.
Yes, Mr. Chair. But that's for common use supplies and equipment.
Okay.
But for non-common, there are no fund transfers anymore. So we follow the guidelines on the engagement of procurement agent. No?
Okay.
The procurement service being the procurement agent of the requesting agency.
And then there's no more fund transfer.
There are no more fund transfers.
Kayo lang bumibili.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Yeah, but my point is you have to have a game plan to clean this up. Kung hindi, nasa libro lang to, hindi maganda tignan eh. And it's always in the COA reports which we take very seriously. There's also another, Secretary, that I saw in your account. There's a 1 billion peso or 947 million peso subscription expense. May I know kung ano yung mga subscription natin? 900 million is...
Yusek Sasa, please.
quite,
yung mga
substantial.
subscription natin for IT.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. So we have po the budget and treasury management system that's around 108 million po, that's annually. We have our API subscription for 38 million. We have for robotics process automation 43 million. For OutSystems, our low-code front-end automation for 52 million. We have for VAPT 9 million. Cybersecurity Operations Center 51 million. For blockchain 21 million. For our HR system, 40 million. For budget data analytics, 25 million. Internet services, a dedicated fiber optic, 6 million. And we have for our cloud infrastructure subscription for 80 million. We also for managed services for level 1 and level 2 support for our applications and infrastructure support, 60 million. And for DIME, Project DIME, 9.6 million. So yun po.
These are recurring subscriptions, meaning every year
Yes.
we will spend 900 million for subscriptions.
Roughly, yes, ma'am. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Medyo malaki, 900 million, almost a billion yun of subscription.
This is to support po, we are supporting majority of the bureaucracy po. So we actually need this.
This is for DBM alone or how does it work?
This is also for public finance management systems po, Mr. Chair. So we are servicing the entire bureaucracy for all public financial management.
And I heard earlier you said meron kayong budget data analytics.
Yes.
So
yes,
I
sir.
guess it's about time to expand and make it more analytical
Yes,
in terms
yes,
of
sir.
flood control projects and the other projects.
Yes, sir. We
Kasi
are.
nandyan na, I guess nandyan na yung platform. It's just expanding it to the other agencies.
Yes, sir. We are making it available po to other agencies.
No, ibig ko sabihin, I think that budget analytics is to analyze the budget itself, correct?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
So let's expand it to analyze duplications and all of these things happening in duplications, yung mga red flags. Andyan na eh, we're already doing it.
We'll use it, Mr. Chair, in our pre-NEP process. Kasi as of now, we're doing
pre-NEP.
it for the, pag yung may gaan na po, so we'll use it na for prior to, yung submission ng agencies para po sa NEP. That's what we're gonna do, Mr. Chair.
So, can we have an assurance?
Yes po.
2020...
Yes po.
Ano ba tayo? Ano ba next budget? Is 2027.
Promise.
Wala nang duplication.
Promise.
Wala nang ano. May papakilala ko sa inyo, si ChatGPT. Mapakagaling nun. Magaling yun. Maghanap ng mga ano. No, I'm just kidding. But I support the digitalization, Secretary. I'm a firm believer of digitalization. But let's use the tools to clean up the budget kasi the learning process here is really something that we need to take seriously. And even pre-NEP, dapat ayusin na talaga natin. Nandiyan na yung mga tools nyo. It's just making it more effective. No? Yeah. Promise, ha?
Po, promise.
Okay. May flash rin ako. The same, ito, nakita ko rin to with PGF. Ito naman yung MPBF. No? Ito, paboritong punching bag rin. And I'll be guilty pag may suggestion ako to increase in some agency. Paborito namin kunin is MPBF. Suggestion ko, no? Pero depende na sa chairman if they will accept it. But over the years, ganun rin. We see that the executive will suggest will suggest a NEP, but we will end up with a lower GAA. No? For example, in 2023, it was reduced to 68%. In 2024, by 78%. In 2025, is 33%. Now, my question is, anong impact nito pag rini-reduce? What is the impact? Kanina, doon sa PGF, hindi nababayaran yung retirement separation benefits. Pero dito, anong impact naman when we reduce MPBF?
In the event, Mr. Chair, that the MPBF is reduced, and we look at first what's available within the regular budget agencies, regular provisions nila. In the event that there are creation of positions, as well as modification or classification, upgrading, then that's the time that we go into the MPBF. Once the MPBF is insufficient, then same thing, we go to the UA, the unprogrammed appropriation, and for any deficiencies, yun nga lang po, we still wait for the excess revenue. In the event na sometimes kasi walang napro-provide na line item under the UA specific for personal services, ang ginagawa namin, sir, if these are like for example creation or modification, yung creation, sir, ginagawa namin is we adjust the implementation, yung effectivity date ng pag-create ng position. So sometimes we end up na 6 months lang o kaya 3 months. Ganun po yung nangyayari, Mr. Chair.
Yan ba yung source ng delay ng sweldo?
No, Mr. Chair, because the field positions are amply provided for under...
I'm saying this without any specific, pero alam ko may mga even LGUs na delay in sweldo, no? But I'm sa national agencies, meron bang ganun?
No, Mr. Chair, because the field positions are provided for under the regular program of agencies.
So ito lang yung pag mapopromote sila, di ba?
Promotions, creation of new positions, upgrading or reclassification, or new offices.
Yes, within the year, di ba?
Yes, Mr.
Now,
Chair.
once the agency wants to create or fill up an unfilled position or reclassification, dito sila kukuha.
Yes, Mr. Chair. But we first look at the available PS under the regular budget in the event na kasi nakikita naman namin yung kung ano yung updated na na-avail na nila. So in the event na kulang yung regular, then we go to the MPBF.
Okay. And how do you determine the amounts? Kasi the amounts are drastically reduced. Nakita natin 30%, 40%. So the agencies give you in advance what they plan to
Yes, Mr. Chair.
fill up in terms of position, ano yung mga reclassification nila.
Yes,
Hindi
Mr.
ba
Chair.
naka-built-in na yan sa budget nila?
No, Mr. Chair. They give a separate proposal as far as creation ng positions o kaya yung may mga reclassification. Pero po, Mr. Chair, kaya
Hindi na sa loob ng
hindi
agency
kasama
budget.
sa
Okay,
regular.
okay. Alright. So kung nababawasan to, like for example, the effect, can you flash ulit yung kanina? The effect in 2000, walang pinakamahalagang component dito is performance-based bonus, di ba? Yan naman siguro nabibigay every year. Wala tayong problema sa bonus. Yan rin isa nating, yan ang delayed, ang bonus.
2023 po yung ginagawa natin, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
While we provide for certain amount, it's the process.
Oh, kasi here, ito yung breakdown. No? I saw the breakdown. Bonus is one of the biggest chunks. No? And then you have payment of other personal benefits. But that's for employees, di ba? Yan yung mga nag-reclassify, yan yung mga na-filled up positions. No? And then the other one is funding requirement for staffing modification. Yan yung mga lumilipat sa iba-ibang posisyon. No? So, ang question ko, yung graph kanina, kasi meron kayong projection pero hindi nababawasan. So, in terms of efficiency of the organization, ano ang nagiging impact niya? Okay,
Mr. Chair, yung felt na hindi
yan,
siya...
ito, for example, in 2024, 78% the difference between NEP to GAA. Ganong kalaki, almost 78% tinapyas. Diba? So anong impact niya to government efficiency? Kasi tao to eh, di ba? Tao to eh. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ang una namin ginagawa, Mr. Chair, aside from yung accessing the MPBF, we first look at the status of the regular programs that the agencies has. So, pwede po kasi silang, like, among yung PS items distributed in the different PAPs ng agency, pwede po silang mag-modify, mag-augment from one PAP to another using yung nasa general provisions din natin that the PS can be accessed kahit na nasaan siyang PAP of that agency. Pag wala na po yun, kulang po talaga yung PS, then we look at their MOOE. Kung may mga savings silang nare-realize doon, then they can request for the modification of that so that they can cover their PS deficiencies. Kung wala na po talaga, that's the only time that they can access the MPBF. Yung nga po yung sabi natin, may felt effect din sa kanilang, the way that they dispose of their service, the delivery of their services. Kasi nililimit na lang namin yung period covered. Like for example, kailangan 6 months or the whole year. Beginning of the year, meron na silang nire-request. Nililimit na lang namin kung ano yung kakasya talaga doon sa MPBF.
At higher, in other words.
Yeah, may delays in hiring.
May delays in hiring.
May limitation.
So meaning, if they need people January, because of the cut, makakuha sila June na. Ganun ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chair. And ang pinoprovide din namin from the proposals that we get from the agency ng mga creation nila or upgrading or something, 75% of that lang po yung nilalagay namin sa MPBF. So, may cut na po talaga siya. So, in the event that the agencies will really follow yung program nila, yung targets nila, cutting it further will really be very detrimental doon sa the way that they dispose of their services.
But give me an example that is affecting government service negatively by cutting this. I want to put an example.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, an example would be, for example, the admin officers, Mr. Chair, in DepEd. Because of that super limited fiscal space when the MPBF is severely cut, we are forced, Mr. Chair, to face, not even per month within a year, but several years. So for example, Mr. Chair, for the admin officers, we did, in 2023, it was only 5,000 because that was the only available fiscal space to create those positions for DepEd. And then 2024, another 5,000. For 2025, we were hoping to create another 10,000 positions. And it happened not only for DepEd, but also for our health workers and all across the national government agencies, Mr. Chair. It's really that limited fiscal space that is probably the reason why the DBM is one of those punching bags, because we're always telling national government agencies that we can't approve the positions that they've been requesting for.
Our teachers are clamoring that they be relinquished with their admin jobs. Diba yung mga teachers sinasabi, masyado maraming admin jobs. No? So, the remedy for that is for DepEd, kukuha ng mga teacher aides or more admin staff. Diba? Na-declare yan a few years ago. Dito kinukuha yan. Tama ba, ASEC?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, in other words, meron ng projected na kukunin na, let's say, admin officers and teacher aides for that year. Correct? Eh, kung hindi natin, kung nabawasan siya, then hindi makukuha yon. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, another effect will be the delivery of education to our schools. No, because our teachers are overworked and they cannot get admin officers. So, ganyan ang effect niya. Tama ba, ASEC Pulido?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, ganito na lang. Just submit to us for 2026, what are the projected filling up of positions, or how many positions will be filled up? What is the breakdown of this in terms of personnel of this 111 MPBF, 111 billion, tama? Just give us, meron akong breakdown dito, general, like bonuses and all that, but yung mga staffing, no? So that we can project what will be the impact in terms of delivery of service. Kasi tao to eh. So we're talking about delivery of service. No? The more people, the faster, the more efficient delivery of service. The less people, the less efficient in terms of delivery of service. So I want to get that number.
Mr. Chair, similar to what the USEC Janet made, we'd also like to seek a plea or put on record our plea to help preserve the MPBF. One of the reasons, Mr. Chair, that we're asking for the help of the chair is the fact that the MPBF also includes the creation of positions for the Negros Island region. It includes for Sulu, for the province of Sulu, considering that they were removed from the BARM through a Supreme Court decision, as well as the approval of the creation of positions in the NPS, UPPGH, DFA, VMMC, and other national government agencies, Mr. Chair.
So especially NIR is next year ba yan? The creation of...
this year, Mr. Chair.
This year. Oh, so we will get the personnel from MPBF.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, but...
Sulu.
And Sulu.
Yung sa Sulu po, kasi they're already out from BARM. So yung Sulu din po.
Okay, okay. And then since na-reduce this year, will that have any effect on the creation of NIR and Sulu?
For next year pa, and di ba no? So next year pa, and then NIR, yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's a transition period this year, Mr. Chair. So
but yung MPBF na for 2025, enough ba siya? Is it enough to, well, nakat siya, di ba? Nakat by how many percent?
Currently enough, Mr. Chair, kasi medyo konti lang naman yung para this year.
Okay.
It's next year, Mr. Chair, that's quite
But
significant.
I would assume may ibang departments masa-sacrifice.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Tama? Kasi nakat siya eh. Alright, sige. Just submit to us yung details for 2026. I think that's it for me. So, thank you very much, Secretary Pangandaman, and to the rest of the DBM team. Last question pala before we end. Ilan yung sa PGF? Ilan yung 2 years, 'di ba, na delay? Ilan tao 'yun? Asek Vega. De Vega. How many people are we talking about? Yung may utang tayo. How many warm bodies are we talking about? More or less lang. Estimate lang. 500,000? 800,000?
No, Mr. Chair. Siguro mga nasa ano lang siya, more than 100.
100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
100,000.
Of which kalahati niyan teachers, I'm sure. More or less, no?
Teachers and
Health
MUPs,
workers.
the MUPs.
MUPs. Okay. All right. So, there being no other questions, the budget of DBM, its attached agencies, ALGU, excluding MMDA, lump sum funds, and BSGC, others, are now deemed submitted for plenary's consideration, subject to the discussion and the submission of documents requested by the senators. So maraming salamat po, and I will hold you to your promise, Sec. Promise
Yes,
next
promise po.
Wala nang
sasabunutan ko lahat ng mga to pag
maraming salamat. Thank you to everyone.
sir.
This briefing is hereby suspended.
Recording stopped.